Han Li's Wuxia Chronicles. Chapter 43-34. Wu. The space within a few kilometers began to rumble as tornadoes appeared. These tornadoes crushed the giant trees into dust, and even the shadows under the moonlight were somewhat distorted. The powerful ripples first rushed toward a nascent soul cultivator behind Su Tingzi. That nascent soul cultivator calmly formed a seal, and the protective light around him produced strands of spiral-like crystal threads. These crystal threads intertwined around the cultivator's body, creating a net that was even denser than normal. The ripples only dimmed the light, but they couldn't shake the net at all. However, it was also at this moment that the ripples swept past the cultivator's head, and 3 to 5 strange demonic characters suddenly appeared in the light. The demonic characters crashed into the cultivator's protective light, and a dong 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 sound rang out like a golden bell. Hiss. The nascent soul cultivator was caught off guard, and he sucked in a breath of cold air. His nylon palace shook violently, and he couldn't maintain his balance. He fell rapidly downward. Ouch! Just as the nascent soul cultivator fell, Su Tingzi and the others were also affected, and they all fell. However, it only lasted for a short while before the group of cultivators once again activated their secret techniques to stabilize their bodies. However, when they felt the tremors in their nylon palace, their originally confident faces turned serious once again. After all, the hawk bats were good at sound attacks, which was the weakness of normal human cultivators, especially when it came to attacking the nylon palace's divine sense. Quick! Su Tingzi felt a slight dizziness in his head, and he couldn't calm down for a long time. He hurriedly urged, "Let's lure the hawk bats to the moth-gathering beast, fellow Taoist." The nascent soul cultivator who was attacked just now rushed to Su Tingzi's side and transmitted his voice. "This is just a hawk bat, oh. Fellow Taoist Pahong, what did you say?" Su Tingzi was slightly taken aback, and he turned his head to ask. "Fellow Taoist, you can't hear I's voice transmission." The cultivator named Pahong was stunned. He opened his mouth to transmit his voice, but he suddenly thought of something and hurriedly spoke. Su Tingzi's pupils shrank, and he nodded. "That's right. When you were transmitting your voice just now, I only felt an ethereal voice. Damn it, the demons of the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm are really weird." Pahong cursed, "No wonder our Taoist cultivators would rather be bullied by Confucian cultivators on the hidden immortal continent than come to the Thousand Beasts Sacred Realm. This is the path of death for us Tao sect cultivators. Even if it's a dead end, I'm willing to take it for Taoist Master Shao." A trace of determination flashed through Su Tingzi's eyes, and then he asked, "Oh, what did you want to say to I?" "Hee, it's nothing." Since he couldn't use voice transmissions, Pahong looked at the cultivators in the distance who were also acting strangely. He lowered his voice and said, "I just thought that since there's only one eagle bat behind us, as long as we can put some distance between us and let Senior Ao and Senior Shui lure the eagle bat to the front of the moth-gathering beast, clap clap clap." Just as Pahong finished his sentence, more and more gathering moth beasts were killed by the shockwaves. Hee, Senior Shui's plan is indeed effective. We just need to hold on for a little longer. Su Tingzi naturally couldn't express his opinion on Pahong's words, and he only responded vaguely. However, before Su Tingzi could finish his sentence, several more coughs were heard from behind the crowd. Ah! Pahong was stunned and quickly turned his head to look. He saw that in the night sky, there were a few black figures that were dozens of feet in size. They had already started to attack like the eagle bat earlier. One of them was only a few miles away from them. "Damn it, I really jinxed it." Pahong said in a self-mocking tone, "I just said one eagle bat, and now several of them came. If I said 10, would 100 of them come?" Hee. Su Tingzi laughed and said, "If you had the ability to make prophecies come true, we wouldn't have to run so far away. You just need to stay in the hidden immortal continent and give some pointers." Unfortunately, Su Tingzi's laughter was still echoing in the night sky. In the night sky several kilometers away, cough, cough, cough. Sounds kept coming. It was as if countless old men couldn't fall asleep at night and were coughing uncontrollably as they tossed and turned in bed. Damn it! Su Tingzi's smile froze on his face, and he hurriedly released his divine sense. However, wherever his divine sense scanned, the entire night sky was like a ravine, and the shockwaves were like mountains. His divine sense couldn't pass through it all, so how could he see the situation in the distance? As Su Tingzi cursed in his heart, he instantly understood Shui Mingzi's painstaking efforts. Although the gathering moth beasts were insignificant, the demons they attracted weren't easy to deal with. Let's go. Su Tingzi didn't have time to check how many eagles were behind him. He waved his hand, and without any hesitation, he charged towards the incoming gathering moth beasts. At the same time, Su Tingzi opened his mouth, and the earthy yellow drumstick flew out again. However, just as this Dharma treasure landed in the sky, Su Tingzi immediately remembered Shui Mingzi's warning. He sucked in his mouth, and the Dharma treasure was put away again. Clap clap clap. Actually, Su Tingzi did not even need to do anything. Wherever the eagle bats waved past, no matter how many moth-gathering beasts there were, regardless of whether they had gone mad or not, they all fell from the sky without any resistance. Su Tingzi gradually approached the gathering moth beasts with Pahong and the others. Once there was an opening, they would leave this dangerous place. Su Tingzi and the others naturally had a good plan. After all, the gathering moth beasts in front of them were too weak. No matter how many eagles there were behind them, as long as they charged into the gathering moth beasts, they could easily escape. However, at this moment, Shui Mingzi and Ao Zhantian's expressions changed. Su Tingzi and the others' divine sense was blocked by the shockwaves from the gathering moth beasts, and they couldn't see everything. Shui Mingzi was able to determine the number of gathering moth beasts just from the shockwaves. Ao Zhantian even used the secret technique of the dragon clan's descendants to see the situation behind him clearly. The development of the situation was far beyond Shui Mingzi and the others' expectations. At this moment, dozens of gathering moth beasts had already gathered in the night sky, and there was an endless stream of gathering moth beasts flying out from the hills behind them. Shui Mingzi and the others could only break through the frenzied gathering moth beasts if they wanted to. Fellow Taoist Ao. Shui Mingzi hurriedly transmitted his voice. Although his voice was faint, it could still be heard clearly. We seem to have fallen into a predicament. If we want to break through now, it might be a little troublesome, no worries. Ao Zhantian casually replied. He raised his hand proudly, as if he was about to take out some kind of magic treasure. Shui Mingzi hurriedly called out, Fellow Taoist Ao, please don't kill any more gathering moth beasts. These gathering moth beasts are a little strange today. Ao Zhantian frowned, but he didn't mind. He transmitted his voice, this old man understands. Inform the other cultivators to act according to the situation. Let's leave this place first. All right. Shui Mingzi hurriedly replied. He transmitted his voice to Su Tingzi and Xian Ping respectively. Woo-woo. However, at this moment, even more shockwaves surged forth like raging waves. The tranquility of the night sky was completely shattered, and tornadoes began to surge between the mountain peaks several hundred kilometers away. It was as if a storm was brewing. All of you, follow this old man and leave first. Ao Zhantian heard Shui Mingzi's voice transmission and a brilliant light erupted from his body. A layer of faintly discernible dragon figure emerged from the light, and a powerful aura also emanated from it. Yes, this junior understands. The 5 nascent soul cultivators were naturally no weaklings. The true essence within their bodies flowed rapidly under the urging of their nascent souls. Roar! Ao Zhantian opened his mouth and let out a furious roar. His body flew out like a dragon, and a long streak of light appeared in the night sky. Chapter 43-35. Boys. The mountain patrol envoy let out a loud roar, and the strange demon language turned into a wave that reverberated within a radius of 10 kilometers. Hurry up and focus. Once we kill these humans, I'll let you have a taste of fresh human blood. Fuck, after tasting the blood essence of a few humans, I'm dying for it. At this moment, from the distant hills, and even from the nearby forest, there were more than a few hundred eagles and bats flying out. There were probably more than 1,000 of them. When these eagles and bats heard the mountain patrol envoy's command, they all responded in unison. Bursts of explosive sounds resembled the sound of war drums as they charged in the direction where Shui Mingzi and the others had disappeared. The strangest thing was that their bodies were surrounded by waves of energy that blocked the divine sense of the humans. If it weren't for the fact that they couldn't see them with their naked eyes, they wouldn't have been able to see them at all. How could Shui Mingzi and the others know that they had encountered a difficult problem? Each of them activated their bodies and calmly looked down at the gathering moth beasts that were frantically trying to attack them. A sense of pride involuntarily rose from the bottom of their hearts. Apart from Shui Mingzi, all the cultivators felt that their previous cautiousness was laughable. Of course, Shui Mingzi didn't place these gathering moth beasts in his eyes. He only released his divine sense and looked forward to avoid attracting even more powerful demons. Roar. Just as Ao Zhantian and the others passed through the center of the gathering moth beasts, a series of hysterical roars rang out from within the gathering moth beasts. The 100 or so gathering moth beasts closest to Ao Zhantian and the others suddenly leaped out from the gathering moth beasts and leaped high into the air. Pang pang pang. A series of explosions rang out at the same time, and the 100 or so gathering moth beasts turned into a bloody mist almost at the same time. Su Tingzi was slightly stunned. He looked down at his feet in disbelief and said in a low voice, "Fuck, what's wrong with these demonic beasts? Didn't fellow Daoist Xian just kill a gathering moth beast? Is there a need to be so aggressive? She actually self-destructed 100 or so gathering moth beasts. Are we going to be blamed for this?" Oh. Su Tingzi suddenly realized something and cried out in alarm, "Oh no, could it be that fellow Daoist Xian just killed a beast king? If that's the case, then we'll be in big trouble." Bang! 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 Before Su Tingzi could finish his sentence, another 100 or so moth-gathering beasts leaped into the air and turned into blood once again. A thick smell of blood filled the air. Boom boom boom. The power of hundreds of stars and moons fell from the sky and hit the blood. The blood turned into countless tiny stars and fell everywhere. Roar roar. The blood-colored stars seeped into the bodies of the moth-gathering beasts. Many of the moth-gathering beasts that weren't flying very high suddenly roared. Strange blood-colored shadows appeared around their bodies, and their bodies seemed to have been flattened. Puff puff puff. Soft sounds of the blood shadows colliding rang out. Hundreds or even thousands of gathering moth beasts actually condensed together in a few breaths' time. Then, with a loud rumble, they charged up from a low altitude. When another pillar of light from the stars and the moon landed on this blood shadow, a blood shadow that was several hundred feet in size appeared in midair. The strange thing was that this huge blood shadow was completely different from the gathering moth beast. At first glance, it looked somewhat similar to an eagle bat. Strange. Strange. Even Shui Mingzi was perplexed, let alone Ao Zhantian. However, in the blink of an eye, Shui Mingzi understood why the gathering moth beasts were able to condense the blood shadow into an eagle bat. He couldn't help but smack his forehead with a smile. Fuck, in the eyes of the gathering moth beasts, the most powerful demonic beast in this world is the eagle bat. If they want to transform into an eagle bat, then their ultimate goal is to transform into an eagle bat. Isn't this what people call a frog at the bottom of a well? Shui Mingzi's smile didn't fade. All of a sudden, a strange force emerged from the blood mist beneath their feet. It was like a huge palm that grabbed at everyone. Oh! Shui Mingzi was startled. He quickly swept his divine sense behind him. Sure enough, the gathering moth beasts that had condensed into the shape of an eagle bat were also emitting a goo-goo sound. This sound reverberated through the night sky and instantly attracted the blood mist. Humph! Xian Ping, who was flying to Shui Mingzi's right, harumphed coldly at the sight of the force emerging from the blood mist. He waved his sleeves and a powerful gust of wind appeared out of thin air, whistling through the air and crashing into the force. Boom! A loud explosion erupted. The gust of wind passed through the force and even the blood mist before striking the huge trees and rocks beneath the blood mist. All of the trees and rocks within a radius of several thousand feet were reduced to dust by Xian Ping. However, what puzzled Xian Ping was that the force that had been pierced through by the gust of wind was completely unaffected. It continued to pounce toward him. Furthermore, as the force drew closer, Xian Ping felt the blood vessels in his body tighten. The blood essence within his body was about to rush out uncontrollably. Not good. Xian Ping was greatly alarmed. How could he still be concerned about using his magic power to escape? He hurriedly stopped and activated a mystic technique in an attempt to control his blood essence. However, as soon as he activated the mystic technique, his blood essence seemed to be boiling. It began to circulate wildly within his body without Xian Ping's control. This is the power of the bloodline. Ao Zhantian was a descendant of the dragon tribe, so he had the true blood of the dragon bloodline in his body. Under the force of the force, his true blood Dharma idol also began to surge, almost surging out of his body. Ao Zhantian hurriedly stabilized his Dharma idol and cried out in shock, "How does this lowly little demonic beast know how to use the power of the bloodline?" No one could answer Ao Zhantian's shock because the power of the bloodline was still a little weak at the beginning. However, as it enveloped everyone, an unending stream of force gushed out of the blood mist like a torrential flood. Damn it! Su Tingzi was also somewhat unable to control his own bloodline. He cursed angrily and slapped the top of his head. A ray of earthy yellow light surged out, and a small drumstick appeared. Su Tingzi pointed with his finger, and the drumstick transformed into a large hand, protecting his body. However, the calmness on Su Tingzi's face only lasted for a moment. He slapped the top of his head again, and another ray of earthy yellow light shot out. As Su Tingzi formed a hand seal, the hand of a nascent soul fell from the sky and sealed the surroundings. Phew! Su Tingzi let out a long sigh when he sensed that the power of the bloodline had weakened. Then, he activated his magic power again without hesitation. Unexpectedly, Su Tingzi's body indeed flew out after activating his magic power. However, the power of the bloodline had increased by several times. Even a nascent soul cultivator like Su Tingzi's body was covered in blood spots. If he continued to move recklessly, his blood essence would seep out. Su Tingzi was dumbfounded. He hurriedly suppressed his body, not daring to activate too much of his true essence. He looked at the other 4 cultivators besides Su Tingzi. They were also in an awkward position, unable to advance or retreat. Gao Fei. Su Tingzi's thoughts raced, and he couldn't help but look up at the sky. However, this thought was forcefully suppressed by Su Tingzi. Shui Mingzi had said very clearly that in the thousand-beast sacred realm, very few demon cultivators would fly high in the sky unless they had great abilities. This was because the demon race was cruel and unruly by nature. They would attack anyone who displeased them. Flying high in the sky would easily be seen as a provocation by the demon race. Not to mention, it was currently nighttime, and the power of the moon and stars was the densest. Countless demon cultivators were absorbing the moonlight to cultivate. Flying high in the sky was no different from seeking death. Gao Fei, hurry up and break free from the bloodline's control. At this moment, Ao Zhantian no longer cared about hiding anything. He raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. Boom! A clear sound rang out, and a crimson dragon blood body flew out from his body. The moment the dragon blood body appeared, it immediately raised its head and let out a long roar. The entire dragon body swayed and dispersed the bloodline power of the gathering moth beasts. Su Tingzi and the others didn't dare to fly too high, but after hearing Ao Zhantian's words and witnessing the dragon blood spell body shatter the bloodline power, they didn't hesitate any longer and hurriedly rushed into the starry sky. Fellow Taoists, split up. There's no need to fly too high. Fellow Taoist Ao, this old man will lend you a hand. Seeing that Ao Zhantian had even unleashed his dragon blood body, Shui Mingzi also shouted with all his might. He rubbed his hands together, and strands of crystalline light as thin as hair fell into the void. Then, layers of dual-colored water light flashed in the air within a dozen kilometers. Not only did the water light wash away the blood mist, it also killed many of the gathering moth beasts. In fact, more than half of the several thousand feet long blood shadow was also killed by the water light. Many thanks, fellow Taoist Shui. Ao Zhantian expressed his gratitude, and the dragon blood body proudly pounced toward the blood shadow again. It opened its mouth, and the remaining blood shadow was actually riddled with holes by the dragon blood body. The gathering moth beasts could no longer hold on. PFFF PFFF PFFF. The blood tentacles between them were forced apart, and the gathering moth beasts fell from the sky. Ha! Ao Zhantian laughed loudly. So it's just a paper tiger. You really gave me a fright just now. Shui Mingzi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He and Ao Zhantian were both 5th grade origin power grandmasters, and Ao Zhantian had to unleash his dragon blood body in order to defeat low-grade demonic beasts like the gathering moth beasts. If word of this got out, people would laugh until their teeth fell out. However, what else could Shui Mingzi say? He hurriedly urged, fellow Taoist Ao, don't be careless. Although these gathering moth beasts are weak, they know the power of bloodlines. This is too dangerous for us human cultivators. It's better for us to retreat first. After we dodge this wave of small beasts, we'll deal with them. Caw caw. At this moment, a hoarse, owl-like voice came from the sky above Shui Mingzi's head. It was speaking the somewhat obscure language of the hidden immortal continent. Humans, with just the few of you, you dare to have designs on my Yizhou Ridge? You must be tired of living. Ah! How could this be? Shui Mingzi was truly shocked. He had already released his divine sense, but who would have thought that there would still be a demonic beast that could avoid his divine sense and attack him? When he looked up and understood what was going on, he couldn't help but grumble inwardly. In the night sky, an eagle bat that was a few hundred feet in size spread its wings, blocking the starlight and the night sky nearby. Except for the lack of blood-red light around it, this eagle bat looked no different from the eagle bat formed by the gathering moth beast. Chapter 43-36. Fellow Taoists, hurry up and leave. Shui Mingzi's heart trembled when he saw such a huge flying eagle appear. Even though the flying eagle hadn't attacked yet, he immediately transmitted his voice without hesitation. However, Ao Zhantian and the other nascent soul cultivators didn't react to Shui Mingzi's words at all. However, Ao Zhantian and the other nascent soul cultivators all stopped in their tracks and circulated their magic power. Lights of different colors shone from their bodies, and they were clearly prepared to face the incoming attack. Hurry up and leave. At this point, Shui Mingzi could no longer maintain his calm. He couldn't even care less about his status as a 5th grade origin energy great grandmaster. Ao Zhantian's eyes narrowed slightly when he heard Shui Mingzi's warning. He replied coldly, fellow Taoist Shui, it's just a small star demon. Why are you making such a big fuss over nothing? Since we can no longer hide our tracks, why don't we give it a shot? Shui Mingzi was a little embarrassed and angry. He understood Ao Zhantian's personality quite well. He had already made it clear when he snuck into the Thousand Beasts sacred realm that he shouldn't flaunt his superiority and shouldn't take his status as a 5th-grade Origin Energy Great Grandmaster too seriously. The Thousand Beasts sacred realm was a sacred realm for the demonic beasts. It was a realm of death for the human race. However, Ao Zhantian was still as arrogant as ever. He completely ignored Shui Mingzi's warning. Ao Zhantian didn't even put him in his eyes. Shui Mingzi's eyes flashed with a hint of ferocity. His gaze swept past Ao Zhantian and the group of nascent soul cultivators to look in the direction of the gathering moth's beasts. After the gathering moth's beasts were destroyed by Ao Zhantian's dragon blood dharma body, they couldn't regroup for the time being. This was an excellent place to escape. If Shui Mingzi was determined to escape, he should have a chance. However, when he looked at the chance of survival that was within his grasp, he clenched his teeth and suppressed his anger. He swallowed his pride and said, "Fellow Taoist Ao, it's not that I'm trying to suppress the demon clan's arrogance, nor is it that I'm trying to suppress the morale of the human clan. This is the Thousand Beasts sacred realm, not the Western Paradise or the hidden immortal continent. The humans of the demonic beasts are worse than dogs. What's the use of saying so much?" Without waiting for Shui Mingzi to finish his sentence, Ao Zhantian opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of true qi. A dark golden scythe flew out of his mouth. As soon as the scythe landed in the air, a bone-chilling cold light shone from it. Even the stars nearby were attracted to it. Oh! Shui Mingzi was shocked. His pupils shrank slightly, and an imperceptible smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. He then cried out, "So that's how it is. Fellow Taoist Ao, it looks like you've gained quite a lot from your training on Dragon Island. You must have relied on this dragon artifact to reach the out-of-body realm, right? Hee hee." A smug smile appeared on Ao Zhantian's face as he replied, "I'm not as lucky as fellow Taoist Water to be able to reach the out-of-body stage as soon as I arrive in the Thousand Demons sacred realm. I only managed to get a sliver of a chance when I was on the Dragon Island." "Alright." Shui Mingzi didn't care about the arrogance in Ao Zhantian's voice. He waved his hand and took out his horsetail whisk. "Since that's the case, let's join forces and fight this demon from the Thousand Demons sacred realm." As he spoke, Shui Mingzi turned to Xian Ping, Su Tingzi, and the others. "You don't have to stay here for long. Hurry up and find a suitable direction to break out of this encirclement." As he spoke, the moth-gathering beasts had already gathered again. More blood mist began to condense. At the same time, thousands of eagles and bats swarmed over from all directions, trying to surround the human cultivators. Xian Ping and the other nascent soul cultivators felt the same way as Ao Zhantian. They were all extremely sullen. Now that they heard Shui Mingzi's instructions, they all activated their magic treasures and charged in different directions. Wherever the light went, not only was the night sky illuminated, even the stench of blood was washed away. Woo! The human cultivators moved, and the moth-gathering beasts also began to attack. At a low altitude, a blood mist that was several times larger than before began to boil. It chased after Su Tingzi and the others like a bloody sea. This blood mist was very strange. It appeared out of thin air and rose high into the sky. It chased after Su Tingzi and the others closely. Its speed wasn't any slower than the flying speed of these nascent soul cultivators. It was as if these nascent soul cultivators had a suction force that could surpass the distance between them. Hiss! Su Tingzi was the first to notice this strange phenomenon. He couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air. He hurriedly sensed the bloodline in his body. Sure enough, although the bloodline in his body wasn't gushing out, there was still a strange vibration that was faintly discernible. Following this vibration, the moth-gathering beast's blood mist also rapidly chased after them. Holy shit! Su Tingzi immediately understood. He almost groaned. I understand now. The moth-gathering beasts are moths that fly into the fire. This fire is the bloodline of the human race. Fire can kill moths, but if there are too many moths, the one that will be killed is the fire. Fellow Taoists, these moth-gathering beasts are too strange. We don't need to hold back. Su Tingzi looked around. The nascent soul cultivators closest to him seemed to have also noticed this. He quickly sent a voice transmission. Fortunately, they were already far away from the moth-gathering beasts. Su Tingzi's voice transmission could be heard by the other cultivators. Pahong also anxiously said, "Fellow Taoist Su Tingzi, there's no need to say anymore. Let's use our spells and escape as far as possible." As he spoke, the blood mist had already arrived. Some moth-gathering beasts had hidden in the blood mist. These moth-gathering beasts were clearly much more powerful than the ones from before. They activated the blood mist and formed hundreds of strange tentacles that grabbed at Su Tingzi and the others. Damn it! When the tentacles appeared, the blood in Su Tingzi and the others' bodies immediately showed signs of boiling. Su Tingzi cursed angrily and raised his hand to slap. Whing! An earthy yellow pillar of light shot out from the top of his head and condensed into a nascent soul hand that slapped at the tentacles. Su Tingzi activated his spells. Xian Ping and the others didn't dare to be careless and used their nascent soul hands. Wherever the nascent soul hands landed, the space within 100 feet was sealed. The speed of the blood tentacles also decreased. Boom! Boom! Dozens of explosions rang out as the nascent soul's hand collided with the blood-colored tentacle. Strangely enough, even though the blood-colored tentacle was slowed down and a large part of it was crushed by the nascent soul's hand, the remaining blood mist still managed to break through the nascent soul's restraint and grabbed at Su Tingzi and the others. What surprised Su Tingzi the most was that the remaining blood tentacles were even more powerful. Su Tingzi could already feel his blood seeping out of his body. No wonder Senior Shui Mingzi repeatedly warned me. Su Tingzi felt a hint of regret. The Thousand Demons Sacred Realm is not a place where human cultivators can come. Pooh. Su Tingzi opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of blood essence. The blood essence should have landed on the magic treasure, but due to the blood mist's attraction, a small portion of the blood essence floated in the air. Whing! After the small drumstick received the blood essence, it immediately emitted an intense earthy yellow light. The blood within the earthy yellow was also very eye-catching. Quick! Su Tingzi formed a hand seal and chanted a mantra. A 3-inch nascent soul wearing spirit armor appeared above his head. The moment the nascent soul appeared, it rubbed its small hands. A small drumstick flew out of its hands and turned into a bolt of lightning that landed on the small drumstick. Whing! The small drumstick let out a rumbling sound again and expanded to several feet in size, protecting Su Tingzi and his nascent soul. Kill! The nascent soul opened its mouth and let out a soft roar. A yellow crystal light landed on the drumstick, and the nascent soul waved its two small hands in the air. Woo! The drumstick that was several feet in size swept through the air and let out a deafening rumble. Under the drumstick, an area of several kilometers was swept clean by the earthy yellow light. Su Tingzi felt his body relax, as if the large hand that had attracted him had suddenly disappeared. Su Tingzi was overjoyed and turned into a rainbow as he charged toward the end of the light. Since Su Tingzi could use a divine ability to escape from the gathering moth beast's attack, Xian Ping and the other nascent soul cultivators could naturally do the same. Xian Ping's natal magic treasure was a 3-colored fan. At this moment, the nascent soul fanned the magic treasure, and the 3-colored light turned into 3 pillars of light that barely broke through the blood mist and carried Xian Ping's body away. Just like Su Tingzi, Xian Ping was in a good mood. His nascent soul couldn't help but sneak a glance in another direction. At this moment, Shui Mingzi and Ao Zhantian were already fighting with the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord in the distance. There were more than 100 eagle bats surrounding them, and the other eagle bats couldn't catch up to them in time. Su Tingzi and the other cultivators were fleeing in a different direction from Xianping. The blood mist below them had already thinned. Even if the blood mist condensed again, the gathering moth beast definitely wouldn't be able to catch up to them. If nothing unexpected happened, they would be out of danger. Damn it. Xianping's nascent soul withdrew his gaze. He circulated his true essence while thinking to himself, after escaping from here, I'll use this as an excuse to leave this place and quickly return to the hidden immortal continent. Although Shui Mingzi's plan is good, my life is more important. However, just as Xianping relaxed his mind, the blood mist below everyone's feet changed again. Woo woo. The blood mist that had been broken through by the crowd suddenly boiled again. At the bottom of the blood mist, a dozen gathering moth beasts that were several times larger than the normal gathering moth beasts flew out of nowhere. These gathering moth beasts landed in the blood mist and opened their mouths to roar. The gathering moth beasts within a few kilometers also let out wails of anguish. Pang pang pang. Just as the wails of anguish faded, several hundred gathering moth beasts exploded, and a thick blood mist surged out again. Unlike before, when the blood mist appeared, the dozen or so gathering moth beasts immediately emitted a blood-red demonic aura. When this demonic aura entered the blood mist, the entire blood mist instantly transformed into a tentacle that was over 1,000 feet long. What made Xianping pale with fright was that the dozen or so gathering moth beasts didn't care about the other cultivators that were escaping. They only glanced coldly at him, and the tentacle streaked across the sky, chasing closely after him. Chapter 43-37. Damn it! Xianping didn't expect himself to be so unlucky. His nascent soul didn't have time to return to his body. He opened his mouth again and spat out a blood-colored light. The light from the three-colored magic treasures became even brighter and his flying speed suddenly increased by 40%. Unfortunately, Xianping had only flown a few kilometers before the blood mist tentacle caught up with him. A powerful suction force fell on Xianping's body, preventing him from escaping. Kill! Xianping's nascent soul roared and waved his small hand. Shwa! A three-colored light beam turned into a large hand and grabbed at the blood tentacle. Woo! The large hand swept across the sky and collided with the blood tentacle. A slight wind whistled and the nascent soul's hand missed. The blood tentacle was like nothing. Seeing that the nascent soul's hand was useless, Xianping's expression changed greatly and he was about to use another ability. So, the blood tentacle that was still far away from Xianping suddenly turned into a shadow and instantly caught up to Xianping. Xianping's nascent soul suddenly felt that his body was incomparably heavy and he almost couldn't fly with his body. What's going on? Xianping was shocked. His nascent soul's eyes flashed as he looked at his physical body. He saw that on the arm that had killed the gathering moth beast, a few drops of blood had already turned into the shape of worms and were rapidly moving towards his physical body. Those few drops of blood were as heavy as 1,000 pounds, causing the nascent soul to be unable to breathe. Damn it! Xianping couldn't remember how many times he had cursed. He knew in his heart that these gathering moth beasts were not chasing him for no reason. It must be because he had accidentally left a mark when he killed the gathering moth beast. Xianping's nascent soul's eyes flashed with anger. Looking at the blood tentacle approaching, a trace of helplessness appeared on his face. Xianping's nascent soul should be able to easily escape from the tentacle, but the prerequisite was that he had to abandon his body. But without a body, how could a nascent soul escape from the Thousand Devil Sacred Realm? Xianping's nascent soul shouted without hesitation, Shui Mingzi. Come and save me. As for Shui Mingzi, he immediately activated his horsetail whisk and focused on dealing with the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord. Shui Mingzi was well aware that although the gathering moth beasts were troublesome to deal with, they weren't particularly powerful. If nothing unexpected happened, Su Tingzi and the others should be able to escape with ease. However, the gathering moth beasts that he and Ao Zhantian were facing were the most powerful opponents of the night. As expected, just as Shui Mingzi brought out his horsetail whisk, the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord's neck suddenly began to rumble like the beating of a drum. Following which, a fist-sized vortex appeared in the night sky within a radius of several kilometers. These vortexes were filled with pillars of starlight and moonlight, and they all rushed toward Shui Mingzi and Ao Zhantian like a torrential downpour. Not only that, the sound of the drums was actually a real order to attack. A group of eagles and bats flying in the night sky flapped their wings at the same time, and many coughing sounds were continuously produced. A series of chaotic ripples swept up violent winds. Within a radius of several kilometers, apart from the vortexes of various sizes, there was nothing but violent winds that drowned out all sound. What gave Shui Mingzi the most headache was that the violent winds were filled with ripples. These ripples were like thousands of small hammers striking his Naiwan palace. Although he had a secret technique to protect his Naiwan palace, he was unable to withstand such a concentrated attack. Waves of indescribable dizziness gradually appeared in his mind. Die. Shui Mingzi didn't dare to be negligent. The nascent soul true essence in his body was activated, and he brought out the horsetail whisk in his hand. Shwa! Tens of thousands of threads of light streaked through the air and landed in each of the vortexes. Boom boom boom. The threads of light accurately pierced into the center of the vortexes, and the entire vortexes instantly exploded. Streaks of black and white light flashed past, and a faint spatial crack appeared where the vortexes had been destroyed. Many of the violent winds stirred up by the eagles and bats were swallowed up by these spatial cracks. However, these spatial cracks disappeared in a flash, and didn't have much of an impact on the battle. Hee hee. Ao Zhantian chuckled at this moment, and the magic treasure that had remained motionless all this time suddenly moved. The dark golden light flashed and split the space around it. Swish, swish, swish. Wherever the light landed, it turned into countless dark golden phantoms like a stream flowing through a stream. Wherever the shadows passed, all the ripples were sliced apart, and the violent winds that had been wreaking havoc a moment ago suddenly came to a halt. See. Shui Mingzi couldn't help but suck in a breath of cold air when he saw how powerful Ao Zhantian's magic treasure was. He thought to himself, as expected of the Dragon Island, there are countless rare treasures. Back then, Ao Zhantian was only a nascent soul cultivator of the 4th level of essence power. To think that he would be able to obtain such a powerful dragon weapon. This dragon weapon seems to be as powerful as my Dao sect's spiritual magic treasure. Hee hee. The Eagle Bat Mountain Lord wasn't surprised when he saw the ripples being destroyed by Ao Zhantian and Shui Mingzi. Instead, he smiled faintly, and his wings suddenly began to flap again. 2 cold rays of light shot out from the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord's eyes and landed on Ao Zhantian's illusory body. Pa 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 pa. The sound of glass shattering rang out, and the space around Ao Zhantian's body began to distort. Ao Zhantian's body was forcefully squeezed out of the void. Not only that, when the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord saw Ao Zhantian's body appear, he opened his mouth. Boom boom boom. Thunderous roars rang out from his mouth and nose, and thousands of fist-sized whirlpools instantly surrounded Ao Zhantian. Damn it! Ao Zhantian's embarrassment turned into anger. With a wave of his arms, a blood shadow appeared, and the dragon blood Dharma body charged out of his body. The blood-red dragon roared, and its huge dragon tail swept through the air. Woo woo woo. A total of 70% of the whirlpools were destroyed by Ao Zhantian before they could even display their might. Good. Shui Mingzi clapped his hands and said, "Fellow Daoist Ao, you're quite impressive. Let this old man help you." As he spoke, Shui Mingzi raised his hand and slapped the top of his head. His nascent soul floated out from the top of his head. The nascent soul also held an inch-long silvery white horsetail whisk in its hand. However, the tail of the horsetail whisk flickered and emitted a 2-colored brilliance. Furthermore, this brilliance contained starlight. When the nascent soul waved the horsetail whisk, the starlight instantly shone brightly. Shua. As Shui Mingzi's nascent soul waved the horsetail whisk, boundless heaven-earth yuan qi surged. Furthermore, the pillars of starlight around the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord also split apart and scattered on the horsetail whisk. Tens of millions of light strands instantly covered the space within 1,000 zhang. With a series of screeching sounds, a small portion of these light strands pierced through the void, while the majority of them emitted a cold aura as they pounced towards the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord. Seeing Shui Mingzi using his sacred art, the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord suddenly lifted its head and opened its sharp, protruding beastly mouth. Woo woo! A scarlet-red pillar of light shot out from the mouth of the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord like a flood. This pillar of light wasn't aimed at Shui Mingzi or Ao Zhantian. As this pillar of light descended into the night sky, the starlight around the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord's body flickered slightly and floated out. Then, a small portion of the pillar of light shot towards the starlight. Wang wang. A strange sound rang out within 1,000 zhang of the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord. Amidst the sound, the space around the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord started to distort. Within the starlight, the light strands that Shui Mingzi had used previously were forced to appear. At this moment, the light strands were already distorted by the spatial pressure and were unable to pose much of a threat to the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord. Not only that, when the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord shot out a large portion of the pillar of light into the night sky, the entire night sky was also distorted. Even the thousands of eagle bats that were surrounding the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord were affected by the pillar of light. At the same time, they let out a series of cough-cough sounds. The space within a few dozen li was once again enveloped by the ripples as a series of formless waves rose up. Chapter 43-38. Damn it! At this moment, Ao Zhantian's Ni1 palace was shaking violently. Not only could he see it with his naked eyes, but he could also feel the world spinning around him. Ao Zhantian's dragon blood dharma body trembled slightly as if it couldn't maintain its balance. Ao Zhantian cursed angrily as his dragon blood dharma body roared toward the sky. He wanted to borrow the power of the dragon blood dharma body to break through the encirclement of the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord and his subordinates. Roar! A dragon's roar soared into the sky. Unfortunately, it only traveled 1,000 feet before it was shattered by countless coughs. Even Ao Zhantian's dragon blood dharma body showed signs of collapsing. Not good. Ao Zhantian's heart jolted upon hearing this, and he seemed to have come to a sudden realization. The eagle bat is the nemesis of the gathering moth beasts, and the gathering moth beasts possess the power of bloodlines. Isn't my dragon blood dharma body also manifested from my bloodline? How was it possible for me to destroy the energy waves of the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord? Could it be that the demon race also knows how to plan? Wang. Just as Ao Zhantian was puzzled, the entire night sky trembled again. Countless pillars of starlight descended and grabbed onto Ao Zhantian's dragon blood dharma body like a giant palm. Ao Zhantian's expression froze, and he hurriedly tried to withdraw his dragon blood dharma body back into his body. Unfortunately, how could he still control the situation at this point? A huge force pressed down on his head like a boulder, and he couldn't activate his dragon blood dharma body no matter what. Fuck. Ao Zhantian didn't dare to be careless. He rubbed his hands together, and streaks of light as thin as hair fell into the sky. The space in front of him trembled as countless origin chi of heaven and earth broke through the pillars of starlight. Whoosh! As Ao Zhantian made a few hand seals, the scythe rushed into the sky and sliced through most of the pillars of starlight. The dragon blood dharma body finally moved again, and it fell toward Ao Zhantian's body. Fellow Taoist Ao, let me help you. Seeing that Ao Zhantian was in trouble again, Shui Mingzi's body swayed, and he waved the horsetail whisk in his hand again. At this moment, Xian Ping's cry for help sounded strangely, Shui Mingzi, come save me. Ah! Shui Mingzi was shocked. He didn't care about Xian Ping's disrespect and naturally released his divine sense. Buzz buzz. When his divine sense landed in the night sky, a feeling of dizziness immediately entered Shui Mingzi's mind. Shui Mingzi was shocked. He quickly withdrew his divine sense and looked up. Seeing that Xian Ping was in danger, Shui Mingzi was extremely shocked. He glanced at Ao Zhantian and the Eagle Bat Mountain chieftain in disbelief, seemingly hesitating. Fellow Taoist water, hurry and save Xian Ping. Ao Zhantian naturally heard Xian Ping's cry for help. He hurriedly shouted, "This old man still has some strength left, but..." Shui Mingzi seemed to have misgivings about something. However, it only lasted for a moment before his body flickered. A two-colored light flashed around him, and a faint demonic cloud appeared beneath his feet. Shui Mingzi teleported away, and in the space of a few breaths of time, he appeared 3,000 meters away from Xian Ping. Unfortunately, Shui Mingzi's figure had only just appeared. Before he could wave the horsetail whisk in his hand, the blood vessels on Xian Ping's body had already appeared like thick earthworms. With a loud bang, Xian Ping's body exploded. Damn it! Shui Mingzi was furious. He waved his horsetail whisk, and hundreds of strands of light shot towards the huge moth-gathering beasts. He shouted again, "Fellow Taoist Xian, don't panic. Hurry and come to this old man," who knew that it would have been better if Shui Mingzi hadn't said anything. As soon as Shui Mingzi spoke, a trace of resentment flashed across Xian Ping's nascent soul's eyes. The magic power around his body surged, and with a whoosh, he actually teleported into the distance. Fellow Taoist Xian. Shui Mingzi was shocked. He hurriedly said, "This is the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. How can a nascent soul like you escape from being devoured by the demons?" As he spoke, Shui Mingzi was about to chase after Xian Ping. However, just as Shui Mingzi's figure moved, a wave of blood energy surged through his body. Not to mention teleporting, even flying was a bit troublesome. Damn it, damn it, damn it. Shui Mingzi was truly enraged. He opened his mouth, and a silvery white pillar of light fell into the strands of light he had shot out. With a boom, the strands of light flew up and instantly killed a huge moth-gathering beast. Shui Mingzi's magic treasure did indeed kill a moth-gathering beast. However, the crimson tentacle wasn't something that Shui Mingzi's magic treasure could defend against. The crimson tentacle changed direction and came crashing down on Shui Mingzi. At this moment, due to Shui Mingzi's departure, Ao Zhantian was facing off against the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord alone. He had just retracted most of his dragon blood avatar into his body when the light around him began to distort and ripple. The remaining avatar was already beginning to crumble, roar. At this critical moment, a loud dragon's roar soared into the sky from afar. Following which, a powerful vital intent appeared out of thin air. This vital intent was very strange. It was like a river, but also like a boulder. As it descended, it caused the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord to tremble violently. Even though it didn't break through, it still caused the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord to hurriedly turn around. Which damned bastard dares to bully a descendant of the dragon tribe? A loud voice sounded from behind the vital intent. It was the language of the Thousand Beast Holy Realm. Good. Ao Zhantian was truly overjoyed. Even though he hadn't seen the newcomer yet, just from the power of the vital intent and the dragon's roar alone, he already knew that the newcomer was definitely a powerful ally. Sure enough, just as the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord spread its wings and soared into the sky, a demonic body that resembled a dragon and a snake descended from the night sky. The snake's tail, which was several dozen feet thick, whistled through the air as it came crashing down like a small mountain. Where the serpent tail landed, the Eagle Bat Mountain Master similarly flapped his wings to receive the attack. Boom! With a loud explosion, the serpent tail was flipped over, and an ugly serpent dragon tumbled in midair, revealing its demonic body. The eagle-bat mountain lord also tumbled through the night sky. Even though it spread its wings, it was still unable to maintain its balance. So, it's a python dragon. Ao Zhantian was filled with anticipation for the appearance of a member of the dragon tribe. When he saw that it was a python dragon, he couldn't help but feel disappointed. However, when he saw that the python dragon's demonic body was so sturdy, there was hope amidst his disappointment. He didn't dare to be careless. While the eagle-bat mountain lord was entangled by the python dragon, he hurriedly retracted his dragon blood dharma body. With a sway of his body, the scythe in his hand slashed out once again. Its target was the eagle-bat mountain lord. Pang, pang, pang. The magic treasure streaked across the sky, and a series of explosive sounds could be heard. At this moment, the space was still enveloped by the fluctuations of the eagle-bat mountain lord. The scythe didn't leave behind a beautiful arc, but traces left behind by the shockwaves. With so many shockwaves blocking the scythe, when the magic treasure landed on the eagle-bat mountain lord's head, it was no longer as sharp as before. The eagle-bat mountain lord sneered coldly. With a flap of its wings, the scythe was sent flying diagonally. It didn't pose any threat to the eagle-bat mountain lord at all. Fellow immortal. At this moment, the python dragon was already twisting its body. Seeing that Ao Zhantian's magic treasure was useless, it shouted, "You go and kill those, small fries. Leave this bastard to me." All right. Ao Zhantian naturally understood the thousand-beast sacred realm's words. With a nod of his head, he moved with all his might. With a flick of his hand, he pounced towards the nearest eagle-bat mountain lord. Ho! The python dragon watched Ao Zhantian leave, and a trace of a smile appeared in its eyes. With a loud roar, it opened its mouth and shot out a huge pillar of starlight towards the eagle-bat mountain lord. Boom boom boom. Wherever the pillar of light passed, the shockwaves in the surrounding space were all destroyed. At the same time, the python dragon's tail slammed down again, and a mountain-like force enveloped the eagle-bat mountain lord. Dong dong dong. The eagle-bat mountain lord was greatly alarmed. His mouth and nose emitted a drumming sound, and waves of shockwaves broke through the air in an attempt to block the pillar of light. At the same time, his body also reflected the brilliance of the starlight as he flapped his wings to meet the python dragon's tail. Boom! With a loud bang, the python dragon's tail smashed into the eagle-bat mountain lord's back. Facing the python dragon's sturdy demonic body, the eagle-bat mountain lord was unable to resist at all. His 100-zhang-tall demonic body floated down like an autumn leaf, and his feathers were sent flying in all directions. Ha! The python dragon laughed loudly. You're just a bat. How dare you be so arrogant in front of my dragon tribe? Just as the python dragon was laughing maniacally, the eagle-bat mountain master, who seemed to have no strength to resist, suddenly spread his wings. His entire body transformed into a strange black shadow, and with lightning speed, he fled towards the dark night at a low altitude. Damn it, you still want to escape in front of me? The python dragon was unwilling to let it go. After a moment of shock, demonic clouds flashed around its body, and it chased after the black shadow. It was also at this moment that Shui Mingzi's voice rang out from afar. Fellow immortal, oh. The python dragon's body turned sluggish, and when it turned its head to look, it saw Shui Mingzi's body flashing with two different colors of light. Layers of blood-red light rippled outwards. The horsetail whisk in Shui Mingzi's hand was able to block the numerous gathering moth beasts, but it was unable to block the power of the bloodline within the blood-red mist. What was special was that at a low altitude, there were thousands of gathering moth beasts, whose eyes were flashing with red light, gathering over without fear of death. Fellow immortal, do you have any ideas? Shui Mingzi shouted loudly. If fellow immortal is able to lend us a hand, I will definitely reward you greatly. What does it have to do with me? The python dragon's words almost caused Shui Mingzi to roll his eyes in anger. You're not even a descendant of the dragon tribe. After the python dragon finished speaking, it turned its head again to look in the direction that the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord had fled. In just a few breaths, the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord had already disappeared without a trace. The python dragon's body flew for 1,000 feet, but it seemed to have some misgivings and stopped chasing. Instead, it looked in Ao Zhantian's direction and called out cheerfully, "Fellow immortal, don't worry, I'll help you." "Damn it, isn't it just a python dragon? Do you have to think so highly of yourself? You're ignoring me, but I'm going to pay you back." Seeing how the python dragon was so biased, as if it didn't care about his life at all, Shui Mingzi's nose became crooked from anger. He gritted his teeth and opened his mouth, sending a surge of true yuan into his magic treasure. Thousands of starlight appeared once again, but this time, the starlight didn't attack the gathering moth beasts. Instead, it landed on Shui Mingzi's body. Following which, Shui Mingzi's body flickered, and his body gradually blurred as he charged into the blood-red mist, flying in the direction of the python dragon. Even though Ao Zhantian didn't know why this python dragon was so close to him, a descendant of the dragon tribe, he knew that as long as he asked, this python dragon would definitely help him. However, Ao Zhantian paused momentarily before speaking, "Fellow Taoist water, seeing as all of our fellow Taoists have already escaped from danger, why should we continue to fight these gathering moth beasts? Let's meet up with Su Tingzi and the others first. Then, we'll search for Xian Ping's nascent soul." Before Shui Mingzi had a chance to reply, the python dragon turned around and extended its massive head over. It spoke in a flattering tone, "Fellow Taoist water, there's no need to rush. Isn't it just a few small things? Let me help you. Fellow Taoist water." Ao Zhantian was truly flattered by the python dragon's enthusiasm. He hurriedly wanted to say something, but the python dragon didn't give him a chance to do so. The python dragon raised its head slightly, and the pillar of starlight around its body shone brightly. Then, the python dragon charged toward the gathering moth beasts and the blood mist in its wake. Roar, roar, roar. It roared 3 times in quick succession. Following the roar, a violent gale swept up, and the night sky within a radius of several dozen kilometers darkened. Not only was the blood mist completely swept away by the gale, but even the gathering moth beasts were swept up into the air. Countless huge trees were uprooted at low altitudes, and the howling of the gathering moth beasts reverberated throughout the forest. Ao Zhantian and Shui Mingzi were dumbstruck. The two of them looked on with incredulity. The gathering moth beasts that 2 out of Aperture Grandmasters and a dozen or so nascent Soul Grandmasters couldn't handle were chased away by the python dragon's 3 roars. Furthermore, the 2 human cultivators could clearly see that the python dragon was only at the 5th grade origin Qi realm. What it relied on was merely its innate divine ability. That was all. Cough cough. Ao Zhantian's mouth gaped open. Just as he was in shock, he suddenly caught a whiff of an indescribable stench. He hurriedly coughed a few times and held his breath. Only then did he discover that the stench was coming from the python dragon's mouth. Ao Zhantian hurriedly coughed a few more times to cover it up. Then, he smiled and said, "Fellow Taoist water, let's leave this place first. Once we find a safe place." The python dragon didn't wait for Ao Zhantian to finish his sentence. "With me here, what's there to worry about?" "Hee, that's true." Ao Zhantian was a little embarrassed. He raised his head and looked at Shui Mingzi. Shui Mingzi also nodded with interest. "Oh." Just as Ao Zhantian was about to speak again, the python dragon suddenly let out a cry of surprise. Demonic clouds surged around its body, and the pillars of light from the moon and stars fell again. The python dragon's body rapidly shrank. In just a short moment, a demonic beast about the size of an ordinary human appeared in front of Ao Zhantian and Shui Mingzi. The python dragon greeted Ao Zhantian and spoke in the human language of the hidden immortal continent. My name is Aoe. How should I address you, fellow Taoist water? Oh, so it's fellow Taoist Ao. Ao Zhantian hurriedly replied respectfully. I am Ao Zhantian. He, it really is fellow Taoist Ao. A smile appeared on the face of the python dragon called Aoe. I knew that the weather would be good tonight. Coming out for a walk, I was sure to meet a benefactor. I wonder which dragon palace fellow Taoist Ao is the descendant of. Seeing that Aoe was very unscrupulous and completely ignored him, Shui Mingzi felt helpless. Hearing Aoe's question, his heart couldn't help but tremble. This. Ao Zhantian was a little embarrassed. Seeing the smile on Aoe's face, he didn't dare to hide anything. I am a human cultivator from the hidden immortal continent. Although I have the bloodline of the dragon tribe, but I have nothing to do with the dragon palace of the four seas. What? You have nothing to do with the dragon palace of the four seas? Aoe seemed to deflate. The smile on his face immediately disappeared. He looked Ao Zhantian up and down and said coldly, aren't you a descendant of the dragon tribe? How can you have nothing to do with the dragon palace of the four seas? Ao Zhantian clearly didn't expect Aoe's expression to change so quickly. He was stunned for a moment, then he smiled and said, I am a human, not a member of the sea tribe. How can I have anything to do with the dragon palace of the four seas? If you say no more. Aoe waved his hand and said impatiently, if you have nothing to do with the dragon palace of the four seas, then why did you show your dragon form? Fuck, this is so troublesome. You made me work for nothing. I was happy for nothing. Fellow immortal Ao. Shui Mingzi, who was at the side, smiled faintly and asked, doesn't your name have the surname Ao? Could it be that you are not a descendant of the dragon tribe of the dragon palace of the four seas? Humph. Aoe's face revealed a trace of anger and embarrassment. He glared at Shui Mingzi with his large eyes. The python tail hidden behind his armor waved, and a demonic cloud appeared in the air. It looked like it was about to fly away. Shui Mingzi's lips curled into a mocking smile. He already knew that this python dragon's true form was a python. He belonged to the thousand-beast sacred realm, and his bloodline was relatively low. He thought highly of himself. Not only did he give himself the surname Ao, which only the dragon tribe could use, he also saw himself as a member of the dragon tribe. However, he was not a member of the dragon tribe, which was why he wanted to curry favor with the dragon palace of the four seas. Chapter 4340. This. Aoe was clearly reluctant to return the scythe, but after hearing Ao Zhantian say that it could only be used by humans and that it had already been refined, he reluctantly let go. Ao Zhantian hurriedly put away the magic treasure and heaved a sigh of relief. Aoe then probed, fellow immortal Ao, when will the Dragon Island trial begin? What kind of bloodline do I need? Do I have a chance? Can you introduce me to the Dragon Islands? Dragon King? Country bumpkin. Shui Mingzi cursed in his heart upon hearing Aoe refer to the Dragon Islands dragon tribe as Dragon King. Ao Zhantian chuckled. Fellow immortal Ao, entering the Dragon Island requires an opportunity. Even I won't have the opportunity to enter the Dragon Island in the future. You won't have the opportunity to enter the Dragon Island? Then what are you talking about? Aoe was immediately enraged. Aoe's reaction was completely within Ao Zhantian's expectations. He replied in an unhurried manner, don't worry, fellow immortal. I won't have a chance to enter the Dragon Island, but I can introduce you to the Dragon tribe. Shui Mingzi's brows furrowed slightly upon hearing this. Fellow Taoist Ao, what do you mean by this? Could it be that you want to befriend this demon tribe? Please wait a moment, fellow immortal Ao. Ao Zhantian smiled at Aoe before turning to Shui Mingzi. Fellow Daoist Shui, don't you think, it's quite dangerous for us to travel through the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm with only a dozen or so human cultivators? Tonight, we only encountered moth-gathering beasts and eagle bats, and we were almost annihilated. Although we're all safe now, fellow Daoist Xian Ping's physical body has been destroyed, and his nascent soul is missing. Su Tingzi and the other fellow Daoists have fled in panic. We've traveled more than several million kilometers from Baiqinyu, right? Who knows what kind of demon tribe we'll encounter during this time. Although this python dragon looks annoying, it's still a demon tribe member of the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm. With him leading the way, wouldn't it save us a lot of effort? But Shui Mingzi suppressed the dissatisfaction in his heart and retorted, how can we let a demon tribe member know what we're doing? If this python dragon knows the demon tribe member of the demon tribe of Baiqinyu, wouldn't you be creating trouble for yourself? Not only will our whereabouts be exposed, it will also be a bloody calamity. Moreover, do you think you'll be able to do it? I've heard from fellow cultivator that you'll never be able to set foot on Dragon Island again. Hee. Ao Zhantian seemed to have a card up his sleeve as he replied calmly, of course we can't let this python know what we're about to do. However, since we are going to Baiqinyu to participate in the banquet, why is there a need to hide this from others? Baiqinyu's demon king possesses remarkable abilities. It's perfectly normal for us Daoist cultivators to seek his protection. Iman demon Iman immortal BBB IMS of A of IMS Iman demon dragon tribe members dragon B immortals immortal IMS of the immortal of Iman dragon immortal AO Iming Iman's Iman. This flood dragon's abilities are limited, but he's born with a python's body. His skin is thick and his flesh is hard to deal with. Ao Zhantian gave Shui Mingzi a sideways glance, then said with a meaningful smile on his face, fellow Daoist Shui, do you think it is impossible for me to introduce this boa dragon to the dragons of Dragon Island? Oh. Shui Mingzi was surprised. If you can't return to Dragon Island, then the dragon tribe won't leave Dragon Island without a special reason. At this point, Shui Mingzi was stunned as if he was struck by lightning. He looked at Shui Mingzi in disbelief and asked in surprise, fellow Daoist, are you saying that the dragon clan from Dragon Island will come to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm? Shui Mingzi was so shocked that he forgot to send a voice transmission. When Aoe heard this, his eyes lit up and he almost pulled on Ao Zhantian's robe. He hurriedly said, immortal friend Ao, when will the dragon tribe from the Dragon Island come to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm? Where are they? Hurry up and introduce them to me. Ao Zhantian looked at Shui Mingzi with a wry smile and said to Aoe, don't worry, immortal Ao. I'll discuss this with immortal Aoe. Although I can't be sure if the dragon tribe will come to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm, this is still an opportunity. It's better than going to the North Sea alone and searching for the Dragon Palace, right? Hurry up and discuss this. Aoe rubbed his hands together excitedly. Shui Mingzi looked at Aoe's expression with a bitter taste in his mouth. He knew that he couldn't stop this flood dragon from following him. If he had any objections, this flood dragon would definitely fight him. Shui Mingzi had no choice but to transmit his voice to Ao Zhantian, fellow Daoist Ao, I don't think the Dragon Island will be interested in the Thousand Beast Holy Realms Qing banquet, even though Baiqinyu has invited the Thousand Beast Holy Realms Qing banquet, I don't think the Dragon Island will be interested in it. So, if you don't mind me asking, which dragon tribe member do you think will come to Baiqinyu? Hee. Ao Zhantian looked in the direction of the North Sea and smiled mysteriously. The Dragon Island naturally won't be interested in the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm. However, if they find out that Xiaohua has been suppressed by Baiqinyu, even if all the dragon tribe members don't come, their junior elder, Ao Sheng, will still come. Junior elder? Ao Sheng. Shui Mingzi was dumbstruck. Which dragon tribe member is he? Hee. Ao Zhantian looked at Shui Mingzi and replied, "This is a secret of the Dragon Island, so forgive me for not being able to explain it to you. To tell you the truth, it's precisely because I have this bit of confidence that I dare to come to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm with all of you." "Great!" Shui Mingzi was ecstatic. "Why didn't you tell us earlier that you have such a strong backing? Although we came here with the intention of dying to save Daoist Shao, wouldn't we be able to raise our morale if we had such a strong backing?" Ao Zhantian replied, "I wasn't sure either. If I had told you earlier, it might have ruined the Dragon Island's plans." "You're right." Shui Mingzi nodded vigorously. "This is an important matter. We definitely can't let Bai Qingyu know about it." Shui Mingzi looked at the excited Aoe with a remorseful expression. He wondered if this python dragon would ruin their plans. Ao Zhantian, on the other hand, asked Aoe with a smile, "Fellow immortal Ao, do you know the Thousand Demon Sacred Realms by Qingyu?" "By Qingyu?" Aoe was taken aback. "Is that the Dragon Island's base in the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm?" Ao Zhantian was speechless. It seemed like Aoe's every sentence had something to do with the dragon tribe to flaunt his bloodline. "No." Ao Zhantian explained, "Bai Qingyu is the territory of a demon monarch in the Thousand Demon Sacred Realm." "Demon monarch?" Aoe's expression froze. He didn't ask any questions, as if he was thinking about something. An extremely powerful demon monarch. Ao Zhantian said, "This demon monarch is going to hold a banquet soon. We're heading to Bai Qingyu to seek the protection of this demon monarch. I know that a member of the dragon tribe from the Dragon Island will also be attending this banquet." Before Ao Zhantian could finish, Oe was already beaming with joy. "A powerful demon monarch. Good, good. I didn't think that I would hit the jackpot today. Not only will I be able to befriend a member of the dragon tribe from the Dragon Island, but I'll also be able to befriend a powerful demon monarch. My efforts today weren't in vain. Fellow immortal Ao, where is Bai Qingyu? Let's go, bring me there." Ao Zhantian smiled at Shui Mingzi when he saw that this unscrupulous python dragon had already taken the bait. He then said to Aoe, "Fellow immortal Aoe, there's no need to be in such a hurry. I still have a few other fellow Taoists who were separated by the gathering moth beasts. I still have to find them first, how can I not be in a hurry?" Aoe urged. "I've been searching for so long," and finally, Aoe immediately shut his mouth. He coughed twice and pretended to be an expert. He nodded and said, You humans are really weak. Aren't you just a few gathering moth beasts? Just because they separated you? Lead the way, and I'll stand guard for you. You can flatten the entire Thousand Demons Sacred Realm." Yes, fellow immortal, please." Ao Zhantian nodded and winked at Shui Mingzi. Shui Mingzi's lips curled into an indescribable expression as he flew off in a certain direction. Ao Zhantian waved his hand and flew off carefully, leaving Aoe behind. Aoe was the only one left. He slowly moved his body and followed behind the two human cultivators. The first rays of dawn had already appeared on the horizon. A cool breeze blew on Aoe's face. The ugly face of the anaconda dragon clearly carried a human smile. This Aoe was Xiao Hua, the one who shouted that the illusory pearl had transformed into a python dragon. He didn't attract the attention of Ao Zhantian and Shui Mingzi at all, and he blended into the group that was going to save Xiao Hua. Ao Zhantian naturally didn't know if Ao Sheng would come. However, before he left the Dragon Island, he clearly saw that the relationship between Ao Sheng and Xiao Hua was definitely not ordinary. Since he was willing to go all the way to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm in order to save Xiao Hua, how could Ao Sheng, a minor elder of the Dragon Island, not come when he heard the news? Ao Zhantian's prediction was naturally correct. Far to the west of the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm, near the shore of the West Sea. Boom! A huge wave soared into the sky, and a loud dragon's roar shook the surroundings. The originally calm sea instantly became turbulent, and a dragon's body that was several thousand feet long flew out from the bottom of the sea. The moment the dragon rushed out of the sea, it immediately flew into the sky like a flying dragon. Under the dragon's roar, the originally clear sky immediately became turbulent, and waves of dark clouds surged in from all directions. Regardless of whether it was the dark sky or the snow-like waves on the sea, all of it revealed the fiery fury of the dragon. Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! The huge dragon rushed into the sky, and frantically circled the clouds several times. It opened its mouth and shouted 3 times toward the sky. In the end, it yelled again, "Bai Qingyu! You dare to suppress the dragon master of the dragon tribe? If I don't smash you, Bai Qingyu, into pieces, then I'm not a minor elder of the Dragon Island." As the clouds shattered, the appearance of the dragon was revealed. It was the furious Ao Sheng. Chapter 43-41. Junior Elder, Junior Elder. Ao Sheng roared angrily. Just as he was about to fly in the direction of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm, another dozen dragon generals flew out from under the sea. The first dragon general shouted, "Senior Elder, don't be in such a hurry. Bai Qingyu is merely a demon realm in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. The demon king there is not even famous. How could he have the guts to suppress our dragon clan's dragon master? What you've heard is nothing more than some rumors. Second Elder has already sent out dragon generals to Bai Qingyu to gather information. If Xiao Hua, dragon teacher Xiao, is really suppressed in Bai Qingyu, there's no need for you to head there personally. My dragon island would have long dispatched troops to eliminate Bai Qingyu." Scram! Ao Sheng was even more furious. "Don't follow behind me. Don't think that I don't know. You have already known about Bai Qingyu and the rumor that Xiao Longsher might be suppressed in Bai Qingyu. Then, why didn't you tell me earlier? If it wasn't for me, how could I have eavesdropped on this matter? How long do you want to hide it from me? Junior Elder." Although the dragon general felt wronged, he didn't dare to talk back to Ao Sheng. Instead, he smiled and said, "If you are angry, you can vent your anger on me. This matter is far from as simple as Junior Elder thinks. Although our Dragon Island didn't announce Xiao Longsher's matter to the world, the Great Holy Palace in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm still knows about it. That demon in Bai Qingyu must have received the news as well. Since they know that Xiao Hua is our dragon clan's dragon master, they still dared to risk universal condemnation to suppress him. They must have something to rely on. It's not difficult for our Dragon Island to kill Bai Qingyu, but it's difficult to find the person behind them. Moreover, Bai Qingyu is in the depths of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Even if our Dragon Island dispatches troops, it will easily arouse the disgust of the Great Holy Palace. It might even lead to a war. Oh, and the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas. Therefore, the opinions of the various elders are not unanimous. It's hard for us to issue the Dragon Island command." Ao Sheng roared in midair, "Is there any use in saying this now? You just need to tell me, is Xiao Longsher suppressed in Bai Qingyu? Do you have any plans to save him?" This. The dragon general hesitated for a moment before shaking his head and saying, "This subordinate cannot be sure if dragon teacher Xiao is being suppressed in Bai Qingyu. Furthermore, without the order of the Dragon Hall's elder, I cannot go." Scram, scram, scram. Ao Sheng became even more furious and shouted, "Since you can't go, then don't talk nonsense here. In any case, Laozi has already decided. If you guys don't go, Laozi will go. Laozi only has Xiao Hua as a good friend in this world. If Laozi doesn't save him, who will? Hee hee." That Long Jiang still smiles and says, "We naturally won't go and save Dragon Master Xiao. However, we need to protect Junior Clan Elder. If Junior Clan Elder goes to Bai Qingyu, we will have to accompany her. Holy shit. Ao Sheng was stunned for a moment, and then he said happily, so this is your plan. Tell me, is this the Great Elder's idea? Long Jiang had an innocent look on his face as he shook his head and said, this subordinate never said that this was the Great Elder's idea. Ha ha ha. Ao Sheng laughed loudly and swung his dragon tail, saying, if that's the case, why aren't you guys following Laozi to the Thousand Demons' sacred realm? Don't rush, don't rush. That Long Jiang narrowed his eyes and looked in the direction of the West Ocean and replied, the dragon who leaked the news of Bai Qingyu to Junior Clan Elder hasn't appeared yet. How can we go to Bai Qingyu alone? It can't be. Ao Sheng stopped smiling and said with a bitter face, does the Great Elder know about this as well? This subordinate must correct Junior Clan Elder's words. Long Jiang said seriously, the Great Elder doesn't know about this at all. Even the elders of the Dragon Hall don't know about this at all. Junior Clan Elder made the decision on her own. In order to protect Junior Clan Elder, this subordinate has no choice but to go to Bai Qingyu. As for Junior Clan Elder being with Ao Zhan, that's purely an accident. Roar. Just as Long Jiang finished speaking, a pitch-black dragon body rushed out of the blue water in the West Ocean. An unusually ferocious aura was emitted from the dragon horn on the dragon body. Ao Sheng looked up and saw Ao Zhan in his pitch-black dragon armor. There weren't any other dragons behind Ao Zhan. However, as soon as Ao Zhan appeared, the dozen or so Long Jiang beside Ao Sheng immediately became alert. They silently spread out and protected Ao Sheng in the center. Oh. Why are there only a few Long Jiang? Ao Zhan didn't release his Yuan Shen because he wanted to hide his tracks. When he saw the dozen or so Long Jiang beside Ao Sheng, he couldn't help but be surprised. He shouted, damn it, just the few of you are not even enough to fill the gaps between Bai Qingyu's teeth. After saying that, Ao Zhan stopped in mid-air and looked at Ao Sheng thoughtfully. He then said, Ao Sheng, did you not tell the Great Elder about the information I gave you? Impudent. Without waiting for Ao Sheng to speak, the leading Long Jiang berated, this is our Dragon Island's Junior Clan Elder, Ao Zhan. How can you call him by his name? Go away. Ao Sheng's face was full of disdain. He waved his dragon claw and pulled the Long Jiang aside. He said, Ao Zhan and I have experienced life and death in the stacked Jade Legacy realm. There's no need to use the Dragon Island's rules to restrain him. Besides, in the future, he... Cough cough. Seeing that Ao Sheng was about to reveal some secret, Ao Zhan hurriedly coughed and stopped Ao Sheng. Hee hee. Ao Sheng chuckled and replied, do I need you to say it? Of course I know what you mean. After I got the information, I quickly went to find the Great Elder. However, ever since he left the folded Jadeite Legacy realm, he has been meditating. Not to mention me, even the other elders don't see him often. The majority of the Dragon Island's affairs are all controlled by the Second Elder. Oh, the Second Elder. Ao Zhan's eyes narrowed as a strange expression appeared on his face. Although I didn't see the Great Elder, I also reported the matter to the Great Elder's follower. Ao Sheng explained again, but after the follower returned, he didn't say anything. I could only go to the Fourth Elder. The Fourth Elder berated me and told me not to meddle in the matters that didn't exist. He then chased me out. At this point, Ao Sheng looked at the Long Jiang on the left and smiled. However, when I secretly sneaked out of the Dragon Island, I actually found a Long Jiang. When these Long Jiang were chasing me, I also brought them out of the Dragon Island. Sigh. Actually, there was no need for Ao Sheng to say anything more. Ao Zhan had already heard the strangeness of the matter. He sighed and looked at Ao Sheng meaningfully. Ao Sheng, actually, I am already regretting telling you about Bai Qingyu's matter. Why? Ao Sheng looked at Ao Zhan in shock and confusion. Because. Ao Zhan said word by word, I didn't expect that Ao Sheng, a small elder of the Dragon Island, would be willing to go through a mountain of swords and a sea of flames for the sake of a close friend. Damn it. Ao Sheng's eyes were a little wet as he laughed. Isn't it just a mountain of swords? Isn't it just a sea of flames? I don't even care about them. But... A hint of warmth appeared in Ao Zhan's eyes as he solemnly advised, Ao Sheng, you're a minor elder of Dragon Island. You're different from the other dragons, and you're also different from me. Let's not talk about where you are or what others say. You represent the Dragon Island. Your words and actions cannot be crossed in any way. Bullshit, bullshit. Ao Sheng was getting impatient. He waved his tail in the air and shouted, I am Ao Sheng. I have nothing to do with the Dragon Island. That's right. You're Ao Sheng. Ao Zhan nodded solemnly. That's exactly what the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas is thinking. Ao Sheng's death is completely different from the death of a minor elder. Who dares? Ao Sheng was about to roar again, but before he could finish, Ao Zhan roared and the dragon chi around him surged. Thick dragon marks appeared on the black dragon armor. Once the dragon marks appeared, not only did the seawater below Ao Zhan soar into the sky, countless water-based chi of heaven and earth turned into crystals and fell into the dragon marks. Even the other chi of heaven and earth within a few miles turned into a gust of wind and rushed towards him. How dare you! The dragon generals protecting Ao Sheng were shocked. They hurriedly moved and tried to block in front of Ao Sheng. However, when Ao Sheng roared earlier, he was already much closer to Ao Zhan. Now that Ao Zhan suddenly exerted force, the black light turned into several dragon phantoms and pounced on Ao Sheng from all directions. The dragon generals couldn't tell what was real and what was fake, so they didn't dare to move forward. When they wanted to block Ao Sheng behind them roared, get out of the way, woo woo. Behind the dragon generals, a golden light appeared. Within the light, streaks of dragon patterns covered the sky as they rushed towards the black dragon mark. Within the light, Ao Sheng's dragon body was like a mountain as it rushed towards the black dragon mark with a sharp aura and dragon's might. Boom! Ao Sheng flew out of the protection of the dragon generals and collided with Ao Zhan's dragon body. Waves of air surged into the sky. Not only did it tear 1,000 feet deep trench in the sea, it even tore the clouds in the sky apart. Roar roar roar. Ao Sheng and Ao Zhan's dragon bodies were tumbling in the sky. Within the light, the two dragons were roaring crazily. Damn it! After a while, Ao Sheng stabilized his dragon body in the sky and shouted, Ao Zhan, it's only been 200 years. How did your strength increase so quickly? Hee hee. Ao Zhan looked a little worse than Ao Sheng, but the excitement on his face was obvious. You're under the protection of Dragon Island. How would you know our pain? Although the forbidden areas of Dragon Island can be used for training, compared to a real life and death battle, it's still not enough. Ao Sheng, I just want to tell you that this trip to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm is not a smooth journey. You can get whatever you want on the Dragon Island, but outside of the Dragon Island, if you represent the Dragon Island, no human or monster would dare to give you any slight treatment. However, if you're not a little elder of Dragon Island, but just Ao Sheng, with your little strength, even I can compete with you, let alone other dragons. You will easily become the target of other dragons. In particular, Bai Qingyu was able to suppress Xiao Hua. That demon king's strength is far beyond ours. Therefore, I feel that there's no need for you to get involved in the trip to Bai Qingyu. Just let me go. Chapter 43-42. Ao Sheng, of course, understood Ao Zhan's painstaking efforts. He coiled his dragon body in mid-air and looked at the turbulent sky. In the distant sky, a patch of darkness had already blocked out the bright sunlight, and the darkness was rapidly spreading to the entire sky. Perhaps it would not be long before a violent storm arrived. Ao Sheng retracted his gaze from the dark clouds and looked at Ao Zhan. Similarly, he answered word by word, Xiao Hua is my best friend. He is being suppressed by Bai Qingyu. If I don't go, how can I still stand in this world? Since you said that the training on the Dragon Island is just a small storm, then this daddy wants to see, what kind of storm the Thousand Demons' sacred realm will be like. Don't worry. Ao Zhan raised his dragon head and laughed. Even if there is a storm, I will stand in front of you, let's go. Ao Sheng shouted before Ao Zhan could finish his sentence. Then, demonic clouds surged around Ao Sheng's body and his dragon body flew high into the sky in the direction of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Ha! Ao Zhan laughed in the sky when he saw the dozen or so dragon generals chasing after Ao Sheng. He urged his dragon body to fly away. The Thousand Demons' sacred realm in the distance was like the back of a giant beast on the surface of the sea. Although he couldn't see its true appearance, Ao Zhan knew that what awaited him was a bloody storm that he had never seen before. In the Thousand Demons' sacred realm, at the Yizhao Ridge, Xiao Hua proudly followed Shui Mingzi and Ao Zhantian into the distance. After a long time, the Eagle Bat Mountain Lord flew out from a distant hill with a few eagle bats. The Eagle Bat Mountain Lord was not used to the intense sunlight, but he still flew high into the sky and looked in the direction Xiao Hua left in. Only then did he speak. Fourth Mountain Patrol Envoy, how many boy did my Yizhao Ridge lose in last night's battle? Reporting to Mountain Lord, 43 boy. The same Mountain Patrol Envoy from last night hurriedly replied. Humph, how dare they injure so many boy of mine? The Eagle Bat Mountain Lord cursed fiercely. Those damned human cultivators, if it weren't for the ancient Bell Mountain, this daddy would have killed them all. Hee, Mountain Lord, the loss of my Illumination Ridge is nothing. You haven't seen the moth-gathering beasts yet. After being tormented by those human cultivators and that disgusting python, not only did they fail to mate normally, most of them died. I'm afraid it will take them a year and a half to recover. What does the life and death of the moth-gathering beast have to do with me? Eagle Bat Mountain Master glared at Eagle Bat and scolded, this daddy is feeling heartache for those 43 boy. They died for nothing. Actually. The fourth Mountain Patrol Envoy spoke up again, Mountain Lord, you have to think about how to explain this to the ancient Bell Mountain. After all, we didn't follow the instructions of that human. When the Eagle Bat Mountain Master heard that, he subconsciously flapped his wings and roared, what else is there to explain? It's not that I don't want to give that human a chance to defeat me. It was just that last night was too strange. Not only were they about to encounter a gathering of moths to mate, but a python appeared at the end. I haven't even feigned defeat, and that python dragon has already defeated me. That python dragon is a true demon of the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. How can we eagle bats compare to it? Yes, that's true. The fourth Mountain Patrol Envoy replied with a smile, but we didn't follow the plan and let that human save all the other humans. I'm sure it will affect the arrangements of the ancient Bell Mountain. If the ancient Bell Mountain sends a demon general over, the Mountain Lord will have to explain properly. Don't cause a misunderstanding with the ancient Bell Mountain, damn it, these humans are so troublesome. Eagle Bat Mountain Master said impatiently, I don't know what the ancient Bell Mountain is planning. What are they playing at? With that, Eagle Bat Mountain Master flapped his wings and descended the hill. He ordered, you and the others, continue to check the surroundings. There have been many humans coming from the North Sea recently. Who knows what kind of trouble there might be? Yes. The eagles and bats responded and flew to different places. The fourth Mountain Patrol Envoy flew in the air for a while and understood the situation of the nearby mountain range. Then, he turned his head and listened for a long time. Then, he turned around and flew into the forest of giant trees. He carefully concealed himself and headed towards the mountain range in the distance. After flying for the time it took to finish a meal, the fourth Mountain Patrol Envoy finally arrived at the side of the mountain range. He saw that the eagle bat didn't approach the mountain range. Instead, it landed on a protruding mountain rock and raised its head to cough at the surroundings. The sound waves naturally caused some ripples, causing many giant trees and rocks to shatter. After waiting for the time it took to brew a cup of tea and seeing that there was no abnormal movement, the eagle bat landed in the valley in the distance. In the valley, there was a shallow pool with rippling water. Halfway up the mountain, there was a small waterfall. The sound of flowing water wasn't particularly loud. The eagle bat flew over the pool and arrived in front of the waterfall. It coughed a few times and the water of the waterfall was immediately lifted, revealing a rather large cave inside. The eagle bat rushed into the water without hesitation and landed in the cave. At that moment, the cave flickered with the light of a restriction. It was triggered by the eagle bat's sound waves. The eagle bat retracted its wings and didn't go deeper into the cave. Instead, it stood there and called out, "Is fellow immortal here?" Gurgle. A sound like a gushing fountain came from the cave. Then, a tricolored brilliance surged out like water. A human cultivator in Taoist robes stood above the brilliance. The human cultivator's hair and beard were all white, and his face was thin. His eyes were slightly closed, and his palms outside of his Taoist robe were unusually fair. Even though he was very thin, the veins on his skin were clearly visible, like the veins of jade. Looking at the appearance of this human cultivator, wasn't it Master Fan Tian who was taken away by the Grand Mist Ancestor in the Western Paradise? Master Fan Tian flew to a place not far away from the eagle bat. He suddenly opened his eyes, and a wave-like splendor appeared in his eyes. The splendor fell on the eagle bat, circled a little, and then swept out of the cave again. Hee, fellow immortal, don't worry. The eagle bat seemed to have sensed Master Fantian's eye-clearing technique and smiled faintly. Within a radius of 3,000 miles of this Yizhao Ridge, it's the world of the eagle bat. There's absolutely no other demon race that dares to follow behind me. After Venerable Master Fan Tian took a look, the clear light in his eyes slowly disappeared, revealing his clear black and white eyes. However, there was obviously a kind of contempt in his eyes. He nodded and asked casually, "Last night, there were continuous roars in the vicinity of Illumination Ridge. Was there any unusual movement?" Of course there was. Otherwise, why would I be in front of fellow immortal? The eagle bat smiled and replied faintly. Oh. Are they Dao sect disciples from Blackwind Ridge? Master Fan Tian raised an eyebrow and asked, how many of them came? Did they pass by Yizhao Ridge? This. The eagle bat hesitated for a moment before replying, fellow immortal's question really makes it difficult for me. The unusual movement last night is related to Bai Qingyu. I don't dare to speak carelessly outside. Master Fantian's eyes lit up when he heard the eagle bat mention Bai Qingyu. He raised his hand and took out a small Qinkuan pouch and handed it to the eagle bat. Fellow immortal, this is a pill refined by my ancestor. It's very useful for demon race in the 1,000 demon sacred realm. Especially a few marrow cleansing pills. Ordinary demon race light gathering realm cultivators will have unexpected effects if they take them. The eagle bat didn't refuse and took the pouch. Thank you fellow immortal. After putting away the pouch, the eagle bat said, I really don't know how you humans are so smart. The pills you refined are truly miraculous. I've already tried the pills fellow immortal gave me before. The effects are completely consistent with what fellow immortal said. Master Fan Tian replied, our Dao sect secret techniques have a long history and can be traced back to ancient times. The Confucian cultivators and Buddhist sect were suppressed by our Dao sect to the point that they couldn't even raise their heads. Now, our Dao sect's pill refinement techniques are only superficial. Of course, even this superficial technique is still difficult for the Confucian cultivators and Buddhist sect to reach. Now, my ancestor is the #1 pill refiner in the world. If he claims to be #2, no one would dare to claim to be number one. As long as fellow immortal works with my ancestor, there will be countless opportunities like this in the future. Immortal pills and miraculous medicines will be as easy as lifting a finger. Huh, that's good, that's good. The eagle bat laughed. In that case, I don't dare to hide anything from fellow immortal. The people who passed by my Yizhao Ridge last night weren't the Black Wind Ridge disciples you mentioned. Most of these cultivators were at the 4th level of Essence Qi. 2 of them were even at the 5th level. They don't match the strength of the Black Wind Ridge disciples. Of course, these dozen or so Dao sect cultivators are also from the human race. If they passed by my Yizhao Ridge under normal circumstances, we wouldn't interfere too much. However, before fellow immortal came to find me, one of the humans came with the token of the ancient Bell Mountain's Demon King and asked my Yizhao Ridge to put on a show with him. Put on a show? What do you mean? When he heard that the person who came wasn't the Black Wind Ridge disciple he was concerned about, Venerable Master Heaven Flipping was a little distracted. However, when he heard the Eagle Bat's explanation, he was stunned and asked curiously. The Eagle Bat laughed. It's a show. Let my Mountain Lord defeat the other human cultivators and let this human rescue the other cultivators. Let this cultivator be the leader of the other cultivators. Hee, that's really interesting. Venerable Master Heaven Flipping laughed. It seems that the show yesterday was very exciting. If this old man wasn't afraid of being discovered by your Mountain Lord, I would have gone to take a look long ago. It's more than exciting. The Eagle Bat replied. It's simply brilliant. Thinking about it now makes this old man very excited. Fellow Immortal, can you tell us more about it? Venerable Master Heaven Flipping asked with a smile. Chapter 43-43. Seeing that Venerable Master Fan Tian was interested, Eagle Bat couldn't help but smile. Of course, don't you humans have a saying that you don't deserve it? I got so many elixirs from you, but I didn't help you catch a few disciples of the Black Wind Ridge, so I naturally have to tell you in detail. After Eagle Bat explained the process of the matter, Venerable Master Fan Tian frowned and asked thoughtfully, what is the name of the human descendant of the ancient Bell Mountain? I don't know about this. Eagle Bat shook his head and said, when that human came, it was my master who received him personally. We weren't there. You said that one of the 2 human cultivators with 5th level essence power is surnamed Ao and the other is surnamed Shui. What about the other cultivators? Venerable Master Fan Tian thought for a moment and asked again. Eagle Bat thought for a moment and replied, the cultivator surnamed Shui is the descendant of the ancient Bell Mountain. I didn't hear the other names clearly. Oh, it seems that one of them is called Xian Tingzi. Xian Tingzi. Venerable Master Fan Tian thought for a moment and said, as far as I know, among the nascent soul cultivators on the hidden immortal continent, there is one called Xian Tingzi. He seems to have participated in. Speaking of this, Venerable Master Fantian's face showed a trace of ecstasy. He raised his hand and said, fellow cultivator, I still have some things to do, so I won't see you off. Eagle Bat didn't care what Venerable Master Fan Tian was thinking. He understood the meaning of Venerable Master Fantian's words. He spread his wings and flew out of the cave, then he carefully flew toward the hill. Venerable Master Fantian's body flashed with water light again. He didn't rush to use the water escape technique to leave. Instead, he narrowed his eyes and looked at the water splashing down. He secretly smiled. Xian Tingzi participated in the Yaotai gathering more than 200 years ago. Not only did 80% of the nascent soul cultivators die on the Yaotai mountain, even the Star Lord Hall's Master Kong Hongwu, Jing Mu Xian, Tail Fire Tiger, Sun Horse of Star, and Plum Sun Chicken all died. The strangest thing is that until now, the Immortal Palace still hasn't found out who killed these Star Lords. Xiaohua naturally participated in that Jade Pavilion gathering, and he is the most suspicious. Now that Xiaohua was being suppressed by Bai Qingyu, Su Tingzi must have taken the risk to head to Bai Qingyu for Xiaohua. There must be some unknown secret behind this. Since all the cultivators with Su Tingzi are heading to Bai Qingyu, this cultivator with the surname Ao should be Ao Zhantian who participated in the Jade Pavilion meeting. The cultivator with the surname Shui should be Shui Mingzi. Motherfucker, I really didn't expect Shui Mingzi to have the bloodline of the demon clan. He's even related to the ancient Bell Mountain. It was precisely because of the ancient Bell Mountain that he was able to step into the leaving aperture stage so easily. That was why he was so bold as to try and recruit Ao Zhantian, Su Tingzi, and the other cultivators under his command. Looks like, my patriarch isn't the only one who has designs on the Black Wind Ridge Dao sect. Things are getting more and more interesting. This old man has to hurry and take a look elsewhere to see if there are any other Dao sect cultivators who participated in the Jade Pavilion meeting. I also have to pass this news to the patriarch as soon as possible. This puny Xiao Hua. I'm afraid he doesn't just control the Black Wind Ridge Dao sect. He also has some other powers that the patriarch doesn't know about. Esteemed Master Fontian's figure swayed in mid-air as several splashes appeared. Just as he was about to disappear, he seemed to have thought of something and his figure froze in mid-air. He waved his hand and a jade slip appeared in his hand. He pressed the jade slip against his forehead. After a while, he frowned and muttered to himself, "Motherfucker." As expected, Shui Mingzi and Ao Zhantian weren't the strongest Dao sect cultivators who participated in the Jade Pavilion meeting. There were still 3 people who were suspected by the Immortal Palace back then. They were esteemed Master Sun Kong, Zhai Xingzi, and Zhang Daoran. These 3 were the most powerful of the surviving Daoist cultivators. Ao Zhantian and the others were here, so how could esteemed Master Sun Kong be far behind? These 3 were already in the late-stage, nascent soul realm back then. I wonder if they had the opportunity to enter the out-of-aperture realm in the past 200 years. If they really did enter the out-of-aperture realm, this old man is no match for them. The Patriarch's plan will most likely be affected. When Master Fan Tian said this, he put away the jade slip again. His expression became even more solemn. Then, the water around him shone brightly. His body flashed slightly and turned into a stream of water light, disappearing from sight. In this world, anything that could happen would always appear in front of you inadvertently. Since esteemed Master Fan Tian could think of it, it would naturally happen. In the eastern part of the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm, there was a mountain range. A kind of bewitching purple demon grass covered the entire land and mountain peaks. The purple color that covered the entire mountain range was like a magnificent wave that flooded the entire world. Anyone who saw this purple color would involuntarily feel an indescribable sense of suffocation. This was a kind of beauty that didn't seem to exist in the mortal world. All humans and demons passing by couldn't help but stop in their tracks. On one of the purple waves, a beautiful woman in purple robes leaped about like a drop of water. Her bell-like laughter and waves of praise played a beautiful melody on the tranquil painting. Behind the woman were 3 Dao sect cultivators. The one in front was dressed in emperor's robes. There was a smile on his sculpted face. His smile was filled with boundless affection, and his gaze never left the woman. The 2 cultivators behind the emperor's garb tactfully distanced themselves from the 2. One of them looked at everything in front of him and couldn't help but sigh, "Brother Daoran, do you think we should fly to Bai Qingyu first and let this pair of lovers stay here for a while?" "Hee, Brother Sun Kong, we've already been in the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm for more than 10 days. I don't dare to say that I'll meet demons every day, but I'm tired of fighting so much. Looking at such a beautiful scenery, not to mention Fairy Gusu, even this old man is a little intoxicated." Brother Daoran was naturally the Zhang Daoran that Fan Tian spoke of. At this moment, he also narrowed his eyes as he looked at the endless purple and spoke to Sun Kong very indifferently. "Tch." Sun Kong curled his lips and rolled his eyes at Zhang Daoran. "Zhai Xingzi and Gusu Qiudi are together and living a carefree life. Why are you pretending to be cultured behind them? There are so many beautiful sceneries in the Thousand Demons' sacred realm. Why are you only intoxicated by this place? The people are beauties, the scenery is beautiful. Zhang Daoran smiled. Isn't it a great joy for us to be able to accompany fellow Daoist Zhai Xingzi to see such beautiful sceneries? Who's speaking ill of others behind their backs? The emperor-robed cultivator in front was naturally Zhai Xingzi. He turned his head slightly and asked the two with a smile. Who's speaking ill of you behind your back? Sun Kong jumped up. I didn't plan on hiding it from you, Zhai Xingzi laughed. He pointed at Sun Kong and said, aren't you behind my back? At this moment, there was a loud rumble on a hill about 1,000 feet away from Gusuchori. Dozens of pillars of Aoran Chi suddenly appeared. Within the pillars of Aoran Chi, chains of inscriptions that flashed with brilliance lunged at Gusuchori like venomous snakes. Every single inscription on the chains of inscriptions produced a vortex of Aoran Chi. The dozens of chains of inscriptions separated Gusuchori and Zhai Xingzi, sealing the space within 1,000 feet. The vast aura whirlpool-like vast aura crazily intertwined in the space and bound Gusuchori's graceful body. In just a short moment, the originally calm and beautiful purple ocean was stirred up by a storm. Under the inscription chains, countless demonic grasses soared into the sky. The small and weak demonic grasses were crushed by the Aoran energy pillar, turning into purple juice that sprinkled all over the sky. Under the sunlight, this purple color was just like Gusuchuri's horror. It was truly heartbreaking. Zhai Xingzi's heart was naturally broken. His stone-like face twisted in pain. The faali around him surged and stars appeared on the surface of his body. As Zhai Xingzi waved his hand, a giant hand condensed from starlight flew across the sky and grabbed at the vast aura chains. Before the huge hand could land, dozens of shadows of light rushed out from the purple vortex. The shadows of light were first flat and distorted, but when they reached midair, hundreds of mighty pillars of air came crashing down with loud rumbles. The pillars of air crashed into the shadows of light, and in the blink of an eye, the shadows of light filled up. With a loud laugh, the shadows of light broke apart rapidly, and each of them turned into an old man hundreds of feet tall. These old men wore black scholarly robes. The moment they appeared, they waved their hands and the vast aura chains fell into their hands. As the old men waved the chains, some of the chains fell in all directions. It was clear that they wanted to seal the entire space. Some of the other chains pounced towards Zhai Xingzi and the others. Just as Zhai Xingzi's giant hand was about to grab the inscription chain, the chains suddenly expanded. The inscriptions that were surging within the chain actually broke free from the chain and condensed into lines of poetry. With a great chi pillar, they crashed into the starlight hand like numerous flying arrows. When the inscription's armor runes crashed into the vast aura hand, there was a loud explosion. Boom boom boom. In the midst of the explosion, half of the vast aura hand was destroyed. Swoosh. Zhai Xingzi's expression changed slightly. The starlight around his body was activated once again. The giant hand let out another loud rumble. As Zhai Xingzi's body was about to fall again, the two inscription chains that were closest to the giant hand of starlight intertwined with each other and landed on the giant hand of starlight. Boom! The giant hand of starlight finally couldn't hold on any longer. Under the great pillar of chi, it turned into specks of starlight. Damn it! Zhai Xingzi's divine sense swept over and saw that Gusuchuri's figure had already disappeared under the Ming-Lu shackles. Unknowingly, he was enraged. He cursed in his heart and slapped his head. Pooh! Thousands of starlight rushed out and turned into a star above his head. That star slowly rotated in the sky. Boom boom boom. Hundreds of light pillars of stars and moons broke through the barrier of the great pillar of chi and fell into the star. Chapter 43-44. Not good. The two old Confucian cultivators who were facing Zhai Xingzi were shocked and they saw the starlight. Although they knew that Jai Xing Zi could use the power of the stars and moon in the Thousand Demons sacred realm, which was especially favored by the power of the stars and moon, it wasn't easy to deal with. The two of them had taken the initiative by sneak attacking Jai Xing Zi and sealed the space around him, but they still underestimated Jai Xing Zi's strength. They didn't expect Jai Xing Zi to break through their joint attack. Buzz buzz. The stars above Jai Xing Zi's head expanded wildly. When the power of the stars and moon entered Jai Xing Zi's body, his body also let out a roar and expanded rapidly. Kill. The two old Confucian cultivators looked at each other, and killing intent suddenly appeared in their eyes. They each opened their mouths, and two streams of sword light with green light shot towards Jai Xingzi's chest and back respectively. Boom! The two sword waves were extremely sharp. Wherever they went, whether it was the Great Qi Pillar or the Starlight Pillar, they were all easily destroyed. In just an instant, they pierced into the starlight protecting Jai Xingzi's body. Break! Seeing the sword light enter his body, Jai Xingzi sneered. He didn't care about the sword light at all. Instead, he chanted and pointed his finger. Pang! The spinning stars in the sky suddenly exploded, and an almost oval black hole appeared in the middle of the stars. After the stars exploded, they turned into star shatter. However, this star fragment was different from the life treasure starfall that Jai Xingzi had used before. This star fragment was like a starry sky. Within it, there were dozens of stars of different sizes. Moreover, each star was emitting a different brilliance and fluctuation. These dozens of stars were connected by a mysterious fluctuation. It was likely that other than Jai Xingzi, no one else would be able to sense these fluctuations. At this moment, after the star fragment exploded, it carried the spatial power of the black hole and the power of the light beam of the moon and stars as it crazily smashed towards the two Confucian cultivators. The distorted space was just like Jai Xingzi's distorted mood. Boom boom. The star shatterer was even faster than a meteor. In the time it took for a spark to fly off a piece of flint, it had already smashed into the two secondary bodies of the Confucian cultivators. An incessant rumbling sound suddenly resounded as the secondary bodies of the two Confucian cultivators were torn apart by the star shatterer. Not only did the vast energy pillar collapse, but even blood splashed out. Caw caw caw. At this point, even the starlight that had been resisting the two waves of swords could not hold on any longer. The nascent soul avatar that was hundreds of feet tall began to crack from the inside out. Not only did all the light spots fall into it, but even the mighty pillars of energy that fell into the chains of inscription like raindrops also charged into it. The vortexes took shape in just a moment. They were like 3 full moons, and a cold light instantly covered an area of 3,000 meters. Then, 3 soul-destroying auras shot out from the vortexes of light, instantly locking onto the 3 Confucian cultivators who were surrounding Jai Xingzi, Zhang Daoran, and Sun Kong. Chapter 43-45. Ah! Shoot! Shoot the moon bow! The 3 Confucian cultivators turned pale with fright. Although they didn't know what this aura was, that cold brilliance had already frozen their blood. They didn't dare to be careless and hurriedly activated their subbodies. The hands of the subbodies fell towards the light spots from 3 different directions, wanting to destroy them before the light spots could form. Whoosh! Like the sound of a bow, the 3 vortexes of light were instantly annihilated. 3 light arrows condensed from the noble qi flew out from the vortexes. These light arrows were dark blue and contained thousands of crystal lights. The sparkling crystal lights revealed a powerful star power and pierced straight into the 3 big hands. Wherever the light arrows passed, whether it was the Ming-Lu chains or the noble qi pillars, they were all torn apart. The seal that trapped Gusu Qiudi earlier had a huge opening now. Gusu Qiudi, who was dressed in purple, revealed her valiant visage. That visage held a huge bow that was completely dark green in her hands. The light arrows were like lightning and instantly pierced into the hands of the three subbodies. The hands of the three upper 5th grade Confucian cultivators couldn't withstand a single blow and instantly collapsed. Following the collapse of the hands, the dazzling light arrows shot into the subbodies of the three Confucian cultivators at an angle. What was special was that the angles of the three light arrows were extremely tricky. They covered the subbodies of the 6 Confucian cultivators, not good. The 3 subbodies of the 3 Confucian cultivators collapsed. As they screamed, they hurriedly dodged. The other 3 Confucian cultivators were also shocked. They couldn't care less about attacking the 3 Taoist cultivators and also dodged. However, they were still a bit too slow. Although the light arrows didn't hit their vital points, the starlight was so bright that just by sweeping past the 6 subbodies, the subbodies condensed from noble chi immediately collapsed. The boundless power of the stars and moon wreaked havoc in the subbodies. When they had just dodged, Gusuchori, who was sealed by the Ming-Lu chains, turned into a ray of light and flew out. When she pulled Zhai Xingzi's hands, Zhai Xingzi shouted, "Let's go." The two of them followed the 3 light arrows to the left and right as they charged toward the defensive formation that had yet to be completely sealed. Seeing the two of them move, Zhang Daoran and Sun Kong naturally did not hesitate. The two of them also roared. One of them urged drifting snow, while the other urged howling sky. They brought Chang Gung and teleported behind the light arrow. Gusuchuri's counterattack was too sudden. The dozens of Xianhuang token cultivators who were trying to kill the 4 of them did not expect it at all. It was not until the 3 light arrows landed and tore apart the defense formation that these Xianhuang token cultivators came to their senses and hurriedly surrounded them. However, they were still too late. When the light arrow was destroyed, Zhai Xingzi and the others also disappeared outside the defensive formation. When they chased out of the defensive formation, they could only see the backs of the 4 people flying away in the purple sky. Humph. The Xianhuang token cultivator who was flying at the front snorted coldly as he watched the 4 of them fly further and further away. He sneered, "I didn't expect the little girl from the Gusu family to have the shoot the moon bow. This really caught me off guard. I was lucky to have let them escape today, but it won't be easy to ambush them in the future. My lord." The Xianhuang token cultivator who was injured by the shoot the moon bow slowly flew over. His face was filled with lingering fear as he whispered, "The shoot the moon bow is an ancient Taoist magic treasure. It's extremely powerful. Gusuchiran is only at the lower middle of the 5th level of origin energy, but she almost killed the 6 of us with it. I don't know if Gusuchiran got the shoot the moon bow herself, or if the Gusu family." Hee hee. The Xianhuang token cultivator at the front sneered and replied, "The Gusu family head is not strict with her subordinates. Her son actually colluded with the Taoist rebels. Gusu Chiran is only a female cultivator at the 5th level of origin energy. How could she have the power to get the shoot the moon bow? This must be the Gusu family head's intention. Quickly report to the token master at the Gusu family head has ulterior motives. Please make a decision." "Yes." The Xianhuang token cultivator nodded fiercely. "This subordinate will report to the token master right away." The other Xianhuang token cultivators also flew over and asked, "My lord, should we still chase?" "Chase." The Xianhuang token cultivator leader answered without hesitation, "Our mission in the 1,000 Demon Sacred Realm is to kill these Taoist rebels who dare to break the rules of the Immortal Palace and whose strength exceeds the limit and don't go to the Penglai Immortal Realm. With Xiao Hua as bait, they will definitely take the bait. Even if we don't kill them today, as long as they rush to buy Qingyu, they will eventually fall into the hands of the Xianhuang token one day." "Yes." The Xianhuang token cultivators answered in unison. They each transformed into rainbows and chased in the direction of Zhai Xingzi and the others. In the wind behind them, layers of purple were still enchanting. Zhai Xingzi and the others naturally couldn't escape in one direction. After flying for a while and releasing their divine perception to investigate, they immediately turned around and flew in another direction. After another hour, Zhai Xingzi felt that the soft blade in his hand was extremely cold. He hurriedly looked around and landed in a forest of giant trees. Sun Kong Shangren and Zhang Daoran also landed. Before they could stabilize themselves, Zhang Daoran took out a formation map from his chest. As he rubbed his hands together, several rays of crystal light fell into the formation map. That formation map landed in the forest of giant trees. Thousands of thin ice strands extended out from the forest of giant trees, shooting straight into the air and enveloping an area of several kilometers. When the ice strands fell from the air, all of the ice strands disappeared. The forest of giant trees was still the same forest of giant trees, but Sun Kong Shangren and the others had disappeared. Zhai Xingzi ignored Zhang Daoran's formation. Instead, he looked worriedly at Gusu Qiudi, whose body was trembling slightly and whose face was ashen. He asked worriedly, "Can you still hold on?" "I'm fine, Xingzi." As Gusu Qiudi spoke, several strands of frost appeared between her brows. This frost landed on Gusu Qiudi's beautiful brows, causing Zhai Xingzi's heart to ache. You're old." As Zhai Xingzi spoke, he lifted his hand to wipe away the frost. However, when his fingers touched the frost, an extremely cold aura immediately crashed into his fingers. A patch of starlight instantly appeared in his palm. Shooting moon bow. Zhai Xingzi wanted to say something, but he stopped himself just as the words reached his mouth. Zhai Xingzi. Zhang Daoran, who had finished setting up the formation, flew over. He lifted his hand and took out a fiery red pill from his chest. He passed it to Zhai Xingzi and said, "This is the scarlet flame pill that I refined. Let Qiudi consume it first." "All right." Zhai Xingzi received the pill. As he looked at Gusu Qiudi, whose face was becoming increasingly cold, he forced a smile and said, Open your mouth." "Yes." Gusu Qiudi's eyes were a little blurry. She opened her mouth with great difficulty. When Zhai Xingzi placed the medicinal pill into Gusu Qiudi's cherry mouth, a fiery red color visible to the naked eye instantly appeared on Gusu Qiudi's neck and spread in all directions. In an instant, the frost that had formed between her brows began to melt. "Zhai Xingzi, let me rest for a moment." Gusu Qiudi struggled to get up from Zhai Xingzi's embrace. How did she look like a level 5 Essence Energy Grandmaster? "All right." Zhai Xingzi hurriedly helped Gusu Qiudi sit down. When Gusu Qiudi opened her mouth, a stream of essence energy gushed out. It slowly floated in the air and landed on her forehead. Only then did Zhai Xingzi relax. He looked up at Zhang Daoran and Sun Kong not far away and flew over. I really didn't expect this." Before Zhang Daoran and Sun Kong could speak, Zhai Xingzi spoke first. The Immortal Palace actually extended their hands into the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm. Zhang Daoran looked at Sun Kong. The two seemed to have already discussed something via voice transmission. They had a tacit understanding and didn't speak. Zhai Xingzi bit his lips. He was also a little hesitant. He only said this one sentence and didn't say anything else. After 5 minutes of silence, Sun Kong looked at Gusu Qiudi in the distance and asked, "Immortal friend Gusu, how are your injuries?" "Since entering the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm, this is already the 3rd time I've forcefully drawn the Shoot the Moon bow." Before Zhai Xingzi spoke, Zhang Daoran actually spoke. "The Shoot the Moon bow is our Taoism's primordial magic treasure. Without a matching heart sutra and activation technique, forcefully drawing the bow will injure the heart meridian. Although immortal friend Gusu is a level 5 Essence Energy Grandmaster, she cultivates the essence energy of Confucian cultivators and not the meridians of our Taoism. Now, I'm afraid her heart meridian has already been injured. This old man has already treated saving Xiao Hua as an impossible mission." Sun Kong glanced at Zhai Xingzi, whose expression changed slightly, and sighed. But I still didn't expect that saving Xiao Hua would be so complicated. Although we don't understand why Xiao Hua was suppressed in Bai Qingyu, the general reason is that he offended the Demon King. If we rush to that place, we might be able to persuade the demons, or we might be able to use force to rescue Xiao Hua. Zhang Daoran said meaningfully. But the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm is so dangerous. Even with our level 5 essence energy cultivation, we still encountered danger several times. If not for immortal friend Gusu risking her life to activate the Shoot the Moon Bow 3 times, I'm afraid we wouldn't have been able to reach this place. And this place is still very far from Bai Qingyu. It's not just the distance. Sun Kong continued. The situation is also complicated. Perhaps Xiao Hua being suppressed by Bai Qingyu's Demon King isn't as simple as we thought. Let's not talk about why Xiao Hua was suppressed by Bai Qingyu's Demon King. Just by looking at the Xianhuang token lying in ambush here, we can see that they're planning to eliminate us in one fell swoop. Zhai Xingzi finally spoke. Presumably, the Immortal Palace already knows about our relationship with Xiao Hua. Since they couldn't find any traces of us in the hidden Immortal Continent, they might as well set up an ambush in the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm. Moreover, according to what I know, the three of us aren't the only ones who have an extremely good relationship with Xiao Hua. Back then, there were many who received Xiao Hua's favor on Yaotai Mountain. The Xianhuang token must have also sent many Xianhuang token Confucian cultivators to intercept and kill those nascent soul cultivators, right? With the Immortal Palace taking action. Sun Kong looked at Zhai Xingzi and said very seriously. Our trip to the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm isn't as simple as saving Xiao Hua. Therefore, Daoist Zhai Xingzi, it's inconvenient for you to bring immortal friend Gusu along, right? Chapter 43-46. In my opinion, since Lady Gusu is already injured, why don't you bring her back temporarily? Or find a secret place? Zhang Daoran took the opportunity to persuade him. Unfortunately, before Zhang Daoran could finish, Zhai Xingzi cut him off. No. That's impossible. Sai, why do you have to do this? Zhang Daoran and Sun Kong sighed at the same time. Evidently, they weren't surprised by Zhai Xingzi's answer. Xiao Hua has saved this old man's life, no, all of us. Zhai Xingzi replied calmly. Furthermore, if it weren't for Xiao Hua, we wouldn't have been able to enter Tsang Langzi's cave abode, and we wouldn't have been able to enter the out-of-aperture stage so easily. In fact, all of this is secondary in my heart. What I value is Xiao Hua's trust in me. It's undeniable that Xiao Hua is the most important reason why the three of us can be so close to each other. If not for Xiao Hua's unwillingness, the four of us would have become sworn brothers long ago. Although we haven't become sworn brothers, in my eyes, the two of you and him are already my brothers. I'm willing to sacrifice my life for all of you. Zhai Xingzi turned to look at Gusu Qiudi, who was recuperating, and said, there's a saying in the secular world, brothers are like limbs, while women are like clothes. Qiu is my lover, so I can't really treat her like clothes and throw her away. However, to save Xiao Hua, I'm willing to follow the two of you to Bai Qingyu. Humph. Gusu Qiudi's cold voice sounded. Who dares to leave me here? Qiu A hint of awkwardness appeared on Zhai Xingzi's face. However, he still said resolutely, your injuries have worsened. It's really not suitable for you to head to Bai Qingyu. You should rest here. After we save Xiao Hua, bullshit. Gusu Qiudi had already finished recuperating. She floated up and looked at Zhai Xingzi with bright eyes. Xingzi, do you remember what we said on Heartbreak Mountain? Zhai Xingzi's gaze was a little distant, as if he didn't dare to look into Gusu Qiudi's eyes. You know that it's a dead end. Why did you go and leave me alone in this world? You clearly know that after you leave, you won't be able to come back. Why do you have to leave me with loneliness? How can I live without you? Gusuchuri said word by word, when we left Broken Heart Mountain, we promised to live and die together, never to be separated again. Have you forgotten? Xingzi, do you know why I pulled the shoot the moon bow without hesitation? Do you know why I'm not afraid of the backlash from the shoot the moon bow? Because ever since I stepped into the Thousand Demons sacred realm with you, I never planned to return alive. Sigh. Zhai Xingzi sighed. He couldn't say anything. He reached out and hugged Gusuchuri. Only the warmth in his arms answered Gusuchuri's question. Sun Kong and Zhang Daoran glanced at each other before they tactfully moved to one side. After a while, Zhai Xingzi opened his mouth and said, Chiu, it's been hard on you. There's nothing to be sad about. Gusuchuri smiled and said, Xiaohua can be considered our matchmaker. Back then, I wanted to be a matchmaker to return this favor. However, that little girl Exin doesn't know what's good for her. There's nothing I can do. Today, I'll return my life to this brat. At this moment, Xiaohua naturally didn't know that Gusuchuri and the others were going to return their lives to him. He leisurely flew behind Shui Mingzi and Ao Zhantian with an arrogant expression. Xiaohua, a python dragon with a noble bloodline, was acting very well. In his eyes, there was only Ao Zhantian, a descendant of the dragon race. Of course, there was also a trace of disdain in his eyes. This was because Ao Zhantian wasn't a descendant of the Dragon Palace of the Four Seas, nor was he a descendant of the Dragon Island. As for Shui Mingzi, Su Tingzi, and the others, this python dragon Xiaohua didn't even look at them. It was as if looking at them would lower his status. Su Tingzi and the others were also filled with disdain when Xiaohua treated them like this. What was the difference between this and those despicable humans who tried to curry favor with the powerful? Su Tingzi and the others had seen a lot of this. However, Su Tingzi and the others couldn't help but admire this arrogant python dragon. Ever since they met Xiaohua, Su Tingzi and the others didn't even need to make a move against ordinary demonic beasts. This python dragon flew in front of them and raised its head, releasing a ferocious aura. All the demonic beasts in front of them would be scared witless. Even if they met some troublesome demonic beasts, Ao Zhantian, Shui Mingzi, and the other great grandmasters of the 5th level of origin energy couldn't deal with them. This python dragon with a powerful demonic body didn't use any special abilities and only released its original form. Its huge python body covered the sky as it smashed down. Most of the demonic beasts would be smashed into pieces, and they would also be scared witless. Of course, if they really met an incomparably powerful opponent, the python dragon Xiaohua transformed into wouldn't care about the life and death of Ao Zhantian, Shui Mingzi, and the others. It would escape without a trace. However, the strange thing was that every time Ao Zhantian, Shui Mingzi, and the others were about to be killed by the demon race, there would always be a mysterious demon race that would appear out of nowhere and break the deadlock that they were about to face. Moreover, these strange demonic beasts came in all shapes and sizes. Even Shui Mingzi had never heard of many of them. What left the deepest impression on Shui Mingzi was that once when they passed by a swamp, they saw an overwhelming number of man-eating demonic beasts surrounding them. Although Ao Zhantian's magic treasure was powerful and killed many of the demonic beasts, there seemed to be an endless stream of demonic beasts in the swamp. At that time, even the most vigilant python dragon didn't manage to escape in advance. Just as everyone was about to be killed, the nemesis of the demonic beasts suddenly appeared in the swamp. It was a type of vine that Shui Mingzi had never seen before. This vine was even more powerful than a 7th level origin energy demonic beast. Wherever it went, the demonic beasts would collapse. In just half a cup of tea's time, the entire swamp was occupied by the vines. The vines that occupied the swamp seemed to be tired and didn't pay any attention to Shui Mingzi and the others. Xiaohua transformed into a python dragon and fled first. Only then did Shui Mingzi and the others come to their senses and hurriedly escape from the danger zone. That vine was naturally the sky-soaring vine that Xiaohua released. The other demonic beasts were also released by Xiaohua from the Shenhua continent. Under Xiaohua's disguise, no one discovered anything strange. While everyone looked down on Xiaohua, they made use of Xiaohua and then went to rescue Xiaohua. However, what puzzled Ao Zhantian and worried Shui Mingzi was that after encountering the gathering moth beast that night, Xian Ping, who had lost his physical body, disappeared without a trace. Regardless of whether everyone waited at the agreed location or Ao Zhantian used a secret technique to investigate, there was no news at all. The danger that followed made everyone realize how dangerous the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm was. Everyone thought that Xian Ping's nascent soul had been swallowed by the demonic beasts or demonic beasts. In fact, not to mention Ao Zhantian and the others, even Xiaohua himself thought that Xian Ping's nascent soul had disappeared from this world. That day, when Xiaohua saw that everyone was in an emergency, Xian Ping's nascent soul teleported and immediately flew to the Illumination Mountain range to rescue them. He also sent the Black Bear, White Lion, and Golden Eagle to search for Xian Ping's nascent soul. However, the three demonic beasts reported that they couldn't find the whereabouts of Xian Ping's nascent soul. Xiaohua had no choice but to let the three demonic beasts continue to search nearby and send him messages every day. On this day, Xiaohua was flying behind a group of Tao sect cultivators, and he was admiring himself as he utilized the Buddhist sect's heavenly vision divine ability to inquire about the situation of the past few days. Suddenly, a very familiar voice sounded out by his ears. "Fellow Taoist Ao, I have something to discuss with fellow Taoist. I wonder if fellow Taoist is willing." Oh. The other voice naturally belonged to Ao Zhantian. Ao Zhantian's voice was filled with surprise as he transmitted his voice. "Fellow Taoist Shui, if you have something to say, please speak. Right now, we're in the same boat, there's nothing we can't discuss." Xiaohua was taken aback. He raised his head and looked into the distance. Ao Zhantian and Shui Mingzi were flying in front of everyone, while Shui Mingzi was flying behind them. Ao Zhantian's figure clearly paused for a moment, and he looked back in confusion. He even asked, "Could it be that there are some demonic beasts ahead that we can't handle?" He. Xiaohua's heart warmed slightly. Just as he was about to retract his divine ability and not listen to their private conversation, Shui Mingzi hesitated for a moment and replied, "No. It's just that I want to ask your opinion on Black Wind Mountain." Ah. When Xiaohua heard this, he couldn't help but be shocked. He had been vigilant before, but when he saw Ao Zhantian, Shui Mingzi, and the others risking their lives to head to Bai Qingyu to save him these days, his vigilance had already mostly dissipated. But who would have thought that one may know a person's face but not his heart? Shui Mingzi had actually never extinguished his little bit of selfishness. Xiaohua ordered the Black Bear and the others to go far away and search for Xian Ping's nascent soul. Meanwhile, he used his heavenly vision divine ability to eavesdrop on the two's voice transmission. However, he was extremely surprised when he heard Ao Zhantian's voice transmission. "Black Wind Mountain. What does fellow Taoist Shui mean? Wasn't Black Wind Mountain besieged by the Immortal Palace a long time ago?" He. Shui Mingzi replied, "Fellow Taoist Ao, you know very well that with Xiaohua's methods, how could he give up the huge Black Wind Mountain so easily? How could he allow the disciples of Black Wind Mountain to die under the encirclement of the Immortal Palace? Oh, this old man understands now. Fellow Taoist Shui is talking about Taoist Zhao's disciples." Ao Zhantian's voice became even calmer as he said indifferently, "I thought you were talking about Black Wind Mountain." Shui Mingzi didn't get angry and continued to ask, "Fellow Taoist Ao, what do you think of Xiaohua's disciples?" Ao Zhantian was puzzled again and replied, "Fellow Taoist Shui, what do you mean by this? Those disciples belong to Taoist Xiao, what do they have to do with this old man? What can this old man think of them?" He. Shui Mingzi chuckled and said, fellow Taoist AO, since we're here and have experienced life and death together, this old man will be frank with you. This old man doesn't believe that, you're here purely to save Xiaohua. Chapter 43-47. He. Ao Zhantian turned his head slightly and glanced at Shui Mingzi from the corner of his eyes. A strange expression appeared on his face as he transmitted his voice, so you didn't come to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm purely to save Xiaohua and Tao Master Xiao, right? Of course I wanted to save Xiaohua from the start. When he spoke up to hear, Shui Mingzi didn't conceal it any longer and explained. But right when I contacted all the fellow Taoists on Hidden Immortal Continent, I noticed to my shock that there were truly many cultivators that received grace from Xiaohua on Jade Mountain all those years ago. Ao Zhantian frowned. Wouldn't it be better if there were more cultivators who received Tao Master Zhao's grace? Why didn't you contact them? We can save Tao Master Xiao together. Shui Mingzi smiled bitterly and said, fellow Taoist AO, although we were saved by Xiaohua that day, we were forced by Taoist Xiao to swear a blood oath of loyalty. Xiaohua's scheme is not small. I heard about Tao Master Zhao's blood oath and went to the Bronze Pillar Nation. I don't know why, but the blood steel is still there. No Confucian cultivators dared to overturn the blood steel. Ao Zhantian said meaningfully. If that's Tao Master Zhao's plan, I'm willing to do it even though I was forced. That day was that day. What about now? Does fellow Taoist Ao still think so? Shui Mingzi looked at Ao Zhantian and transmitted his voice with a smile. Xiaohua is being suppressed right now. There are many Taoist cultivators on the Hidden Immortal Continent who received his grace. This is not a small force. Did fellow Taoist Ao notice something special? Ever since the Black Wind Mountain was destroyed by the Immortal Palace, Xiaohua's disciples have never appeared on the Hidden Immortal Continent. Even when the news of Xiaohua being suppressed by Bai Qingyu spread, I didn't see any movements from the disciples of the Black Wind Mountain. Don't you think it's a little strange? Ao Zhantian smiled faintly and looked into the distance. After thinking for a while, he replied, I understand what fellow Taoist Shui means. Not to mention the number of disciples of the Black Wind Mountain, and not to mention the strength of these disciples. Xiaohua's trip to the Yaotai Mountain and the Taoist cultivators he won over is a force that no one can ignore. This time, fellow Taoist Shui went to Biqingyu to save Taoist Master Xiao. You plan to get a share of the loot, right? He. At this point, Ao Zhantian revealed the truth of the matter to Shui Mingzi. Shui Mingzi only chuckled and didn't say anything. Then how does fellow Water Dao friend intend to get a share of the benefits from Xiaohua? Ao Zhantian decided to get to the bottom of the matter. Shui Mingzi didn't answer. Instead, he asked, could it be that fellow Taoist Ao doesn't think so? Ao Zhantian didn't answer Shui Mingzi's question. Instead, he sent a telepathic message to Shui Mingzi. There are only two ways to reap benefits. The first is to rescue Xiaohua, discuss with Xiaohua, or cooperate with him, or ask him to give up a part of his power. The second. At this point, Ao Zhantian's eyelids twitched. He glanced at Shui Mingzi and said, kill Xiaohua directly. A dead Xiaohua was definitely more valuable than a living Xiaohua. Fellow Taoist can borrow Xiaohua's dying wish. Oh, or you can take Xiaohua's keepsake and take control of the Black Wind Ridge's power. That Black Wind Ridge disciple hasn't appeared for several hundred years. He must be hiding somewhere in the Hidden Immortal Continent. After taking control of this power, you can use this power to cooperate with the Taoist cultivators who have received Xiaohua's favor. Fellow Taoist, the benefits you'll obtain will be much greater than rescuing Xiaohua. Fellow Taoist Shui, don't you think so? He. Shui Mingzi smiled and sent a telepathic message. Fellow Taoist Ao is really good at thinking. It's really a pity that you didn't write a book. If this old man had second thoughts, why would I go through so much trouble to go to Biqingyu with fellow Daoist? Biqingyu's Demon King is suppressing Xiao Hua and will kill him sooner or later. Wouldn't it be better for this old man to act after he kills Xiao Hua? So, fellow Daoist is thinking of the first option. A faint smile appeared on Ao Zhantian's face again. That's right. Shui Mingzi nodded. This old man did have this idea. And now, this old man wants to discuss it with fellow Daoist. Huh. So you're saying that fellow Daoist is confident in rescuing Xiao Hua? Ao Zhantian was a little surprised. I can't say that I'm confident, but I have some ideas. Shui Mingzi explained. When this old man was at the Black Wind Mountain, I once invited fellow Daoist. Oh, I remember now. You've told me about it before. You're on good terms with a great demon of the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm. Ao Zhantian replied in realization. Indeed. Shui Mingzi nodded. To be honest, this old man is similar to fellow Daoist Ao. I also have the bloodline of the demon race. This bloodline comes from the ancient Bell Mountain of the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm. This old man understands. Ao Zhantian nodded vigorously. Fellow Daoist Shui, you can use the influence of the ancient Bell Mountain's Demon King to rescue Xiao Hua. Demon King? Shui Mingzi smiled bitterly and sent a telepathic message. Fellow Daoist Ao thinks too highly of me. How could I possibly have a relationship with a Demon King? I'm just on good terms with a great demon under the Demon King's command. Moreover, I don't know what the relationship between the ancient Bell Mountain and Biqingyu is like. I don't know if the ancient Bell Mountain can help in this matter. In particular, even if I'm on good terms with that great demon, the ancient Bell Mountain can still influence Biqingyu. I can't just ask the great demon to help me, right? I understand. Ao Zhantian nodded again. Fellow Daoist Shui, are you planning to use Xiao Hua's power as a bargaining chip to negotiate with the great demon of the ancient Bell Mountain so that the ancient Bell Mountain can help you? AI, yes. That's what I'm really thinking. Shui Mingzi replied, I was just testing you. I'm ashamed. Ao Zhantian narrowed his eyes and revealed a disdainful smile. The two of them had been testing each other in such a roundabout way for so long. How could he believe that this was Shui Mingzi's original intention? He didn't hide his suspicions and sent a telepathic message. If fellow Daoist Shui is so considerate of Xiao Hua, then there's no need for us to send a telepathic message, right? We just need to discuss this matter with the other fellow Daoists. He. Shui Mingzi smiled mysteriously again and replied, this is indeed my original intention. However, after seeing how difficult it is to enter the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm and how much we've sacrificed, I had another idea. Isn't that why I'm discussing this with fellow Daoist Ao right now? Right now, you and I are both at the 5th stage of the Origin Energy Realm and have the qualifications to take over the power behind Xiao Hua. If we work together, our chances will be greater. Greater? Ao Zhantian was a little confused. Who has the strength to surpass us? I don't know. Shui Mingzi replied. However, I feel that we might not be the only ones who came to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm to save Xiao Hua. If other cultivators also want to come, and take advantage of us, we have to be on guard. On guard? Ao Zhantian frowned and said with a smile, if that's the case, then fellow Daoist Shui should be on guard against me first, right? Ha ha ha. Shui Mingzi laughed heartily. If I were to be on guard against you, why would I need to be so honest with you? You and I have experienced life and death together on the Yaotai Mountain. When I came to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm, I also invited you to come with me. If I can't trust you, then who can I trust? Upon hearing this, Ao Zhantian opened his mouth as if he wanted to ask something. However, he swallowed the words that were about to come out of his mouth. His gaze swept across the dozen or so nascent soul cultivators to his left. Although he could see that these cultivators all had similar expressions of nervousness, he believed that Shui Mingzi must have had something to rely on. Perhaps some of these nascent soul cultivators had already been convinced by him. With that in mind, Ao Zhantian's heart suddenly jolted as he recalled the time when Xian Ping's body was destroyed by the moth-gathering beast in front of Yizhao Ridge. He had shouted, "Shui Mingzi, hurry and save me." At that time, Ao Zhantian didn't pay much attention to Xian Ping's disrespectful words. He only thought that Xian Ping was panicking and was being rude. However, now that he thought about it, Shui Mingzi must have already made some sort of deal with Xian Ping. Ao Zhantian pondered for a moment before replying, "Fellow Taoist Shui, I thank you for your trust in me. However, I am a descendant of the dragon tribe and have some influence on the hidden immortal continent. Taoist Xiao and the other disciples of the Black Wind Mountain are nothing in my eyes. I won't hide it from you, fellow Taoist. I came to the Thousand Demons Sacred Realm to save Taoist Xiao. Of course, I have to pay a price to save Taoist Xiao. I hope that Taoist Xiao will allow me to retract the blood oath I swore for 1,000 years. So that's how it is." Shui Mingzi muttered doubtfully. "Fellow Taoist Shui, I don't care what you think or what you do. However, Xiao Hua is my savior, so I don't want you to lay your hands on Xiao Hua. As for the deal between you and Xiao Hua, I'm not interested in it either." Ao Zhantian seemed to have made up his mind a long time ago as he finally spoke his mind. "Of course, if fellow Taoist Shui has any plans that require my help, I won't refuse." "Good." Shui Mingzi appeared to be very happy as he nodded. "I'm very happy that fellow Taoist Ao has such thoughts. Let's sign the contract now." "All right." Ao Zhantian agreed. "Let's sign the contract now." Shui Mingzi and Ao Zhantian had made their intentions clear. Shui Mingzi's expression was clearly relaxed while Ao Zhantian's heart was heavy. Compared to Ao Zhantian, Xiao Hua's heart was even heavier. He truly didn't expect that this group of people would all have ulterior motives. If he hadn't transformed into a python dragon, how could he have known what they were thinking? When Xiao Hua had first transformed into a python dragon, he had felt that his recent actions were unnecessary. Now, however, he felt incomparably fortunate. It was the kind of joy that came from being able to see the situation clearly as a bystander. I want to see what kind of tricks you guys have up your sleeves." Xiao Hua thought coldly as he narrowed his eyes. He didn't retract his heavenly eye divine ability. Chapter 43-48. At this moment, Ao Zhantian's heart was a little heavy. He felt that Shui Mingzi's actions were a little unjust, but he soon felt relieved. After all, everyone's thoughts were different. Shui Mingzi didn't have Ao Zhantian's experience on Dragon Island, so Ao Zhantian couldn't force Shui Mingzi to be grateful to Xiao Hua, nor could he force Shui Mingzi to save Xiao Hua like he did. However, after flying for the time it took to brew a cup of tea, they saw a large lake in front of them. The water of the lake was as clear as crystal, and Ao Zhantian was just about to ask Shui Mingzi when his heart suddenly trembled. An indescribable feeling of fear rose from the bottom of his heart. "Oh no, this is bad. Shui Mingzi just said that he has the bloodline of the ancient Bell Mountain's demon race, and he has a good relationship with the ancient Bell Mountain's great demon race. With his relationship with the ancient Bell Mountain, although Shui Mingzi can't say that he can do whatever he wants in the Thousand Beast Sacred Realm, at least he won't be attacked by the demon race everywhere he goes, right? Moreover, if Shui Mingzi wanted to cooperate with a certain clan, why didn't he say anything earlier? Why did he wait until now? Could it be that Shui Mingzi's initial plan was not like this? Then what was his initial plan? Roar. Just as Ao Zhantian had expected, a furious roar erupted from the depths of the pond. A pillar of water shot up into the sky, and an aquatic beast over 100 feet in length stepped on the surface of the water and made its way over. Its ferocious aura had already enveloped the area within a few kilometers. Fellow immortal. Ao Zhantian turned his head and urged Xiao Hua, who had transformed into a python, to hurry up. However, when he saw the aquatic beast flying over, the python lazily glanced at it with a disinterested expression, completely ignoring Ao Zhantian. Helpless, Ao Zhantian could only wave his hand and say, "Fellow Taoists, let's kill our way over," not to mention that Xiao Hua, who transformed into a python, was hurt by the secret plans of the group of cultivators and had the intention of slacking off. The distance from the pool was more than 10 million li. This place was filled with swamps and towering peaks. Demonic clouds covered the low sky. It was the scorching noon sun, and the sunlight proudly spilled over the earth. However, the sunlight was unable to penetrate the demonic clouds and shine on the swamps. Even though sunlight couldn't penetrate the clouds, the water and mountains under the demonic clouds were filled with 5 colors. The 5-colored halo was like a person's essence, chi, and spirit. It was hidden in the mountains and rivers, nourishing them. Although one couldn't see much with the naked eye, one would always feel that the mountains and rivers here were different from other places. Not only were the mountains and rivers different, but the demon clan and demon beasts that appeared in this area were also different from other places. From time to time, waves would rise in the water. The thin splashes of the water revealed a faint 5-colored light. Under the splashes of the water, shellfish of all sizes would occasionally reveal themselves. Whether it was the small shellfish that were only a few feet long or the big shellfish that were more than 100 feet long, these shellfish had some strange talismans engraved on their shells. The talismans themselves did not have any luster, but under the light of the water, they revealed 5 colors. Some of the colors even formed a halo in midair, hanging there for a long time, like rainbows after rain. Between the mountains, there would occasionally be some water clan members holding weapons and moving in groups. Most of these water clan members were shellfish. From time to time, the flapping seashells would shine a colorful light onto the mountain peak, making the mountain peak look even taller and more upright. At this moment, buzz! In the distant sky, a rainbow appeared, but in a moment, it landed on one of the mountain peaks. After the rainbow faded, a beautiful female cultivator was revealed. It was Fairy Jing, who had died after drinking the forgotten love water on Broken Heart Mountain. As soon as Fairy Jing landed on the mountain, there was a 5-colored demonic light that clashed with each other. The demonic light rushed out of the mountain about 100 feet to the left of Fairy Jing and turned into hundreds of oval-shaped halos that enveloped Fairy Jing. Wherever the halos landed, the energy of the world was isolated and the space was restricted. Even the sunlight and the water were blocked. It looked very strange and powerful. Seeing this, Fairy Jing wasn't in a hurry. The 3-colored light around her flashed and a heart shell appeared out of thin air. This heart shell was different from the one she gave to Xiao Hua. Not only was the heart shell several times larger, but there were also many more lines on the heart shell. What was special was that the tricolored light of the lines shrank and contracted slightly. It gave off a feeling that made one's heart tremble. It was as if it was a voice or a gaze that made one involuntarily intoxicated. After Xian Bei was taken out, the tricolored light suddenly swelled in all directions and landed within the 5-colored demonic light. The 5-colored demonic light paused in midair, but the tricolored light did not stop. It continued to spread in all directions. When the light had swelled by over 100 feet, the 5-colored demonic light shattered with a bang. While most of the demonic light entered the mountain rocks, a small portion of the demonic light turned into a fist-sized banner that charged into the swamp below the mountain peak. The demonic light fell into the lake and there was another loud bang. A pillar of water rushed out from the bottom of the lake and more than a dozen demons came out with weapons in their hands. Who are you? Are you the king's descendant? The patrolling demons saw that Fairy Jing was a human and was standing on the mountain peak safe and sound. Although they didn't see the heart shell, they knew that she was the descendant of Demon King Bai Qinyu. Although their tone was very serious, there was a hint of intimacy in their tone. I am Li Jing. Fairy Jing smiled and didn't bow. She raised her hand and took out a beast skin from her chest and answered proudly, "Today, I came back to the mountain under the king's order to kowtow. Please report to me, patrolling mountain." The king's order. The leader was shocked and looked at Fairy Jing in disbelief. A large hand reached out from the shell and said respectfully, "Please show me the king's order, Fairy." Oh. Fairy Jing was also puzzled. As she handed the beast skin to the patrolling demon, she said curiously, "Normally, when I return to the mountain, even my token won't be carefully checked, let alone the king's order. What's going on today? Could it be that Bai Qingyu has undergone some changes?" The mountain patrolling envoy took the beast skin and used his yuan will to probe it. He saw that the 5-colored demonic light on the beast skin was like 5 colored lines that interweaved in an orderly manner within the beast skin. Waves of auras that he was familiar with seeped out from the runes on the beast skin. The mountain patrolling envoy knew that Fairy Jing was right, so he returned the beast skin to her. Then he answered with a smile, "What can happen to me, Bai Qingyu? Not to mention the demons of the 1,000 demons sacred realm, even the Confucian cultivators of the hidden immortal continent and the Buddhas of the western paradise wouldn't dare to find trouble with me, right?" Fairy Jing took the beast skin and said with a smile, "Then, is there a joyous occasion in the mountain?" "Hee, it's not really a joyous occasion. It's just a banquet." The patrolling demon said without a care. "Banquet?" Fairy Jing was even more puzzled. "What kind of event is that?" PFFF, PFFF, PFFF. Just as Fairy Jing asked that, she heard a series of muffled thunder in the sky. A flying imperial artifact that looked like a flower basket appeared between the clouds. Behind that flying imperial artifact, several demons spread their wings and controlled their demonic clouds to follow behind it. Damn it! The patrolling demon who was talking to Fairy Jing cursed and ordered, "How can we let them rush here? Quick, capture them first." "Yes." The demons behind the patrolling demon hurriedly responded. Their bodies glowed with 5-colored radiance, and they immediately turned into rainbows and shot into the sky. These demons didn't directly attack the enemy. Instead, they opened their mouths and took out several colorful flags. When the flags were waved, thunderous sounds could be heard. Woo, woo. A gust of wind suddenly rose, and hundreds of demonic auras shot into the sky from the left side of the mountain. Dozens of demons at the Enlightenment Star and Moon-picking realm emerged from the demonic auras. They all laughed maliciously and charged toward the flying imperial artifact. When the flying magic tool arrived here, it seemed to be trapped by the demonic formation's forbidden array and could no longer fly. When the flower basket opened, hundreds of flowers bloomed. Dozens of Aurus core and nascent soul human cultivators flew out from the basket. When these cultivators saw that there were pursuers behind them and demons in front of them, they did not say a word. Each of them channeled their magic power and all kinds of magic treasures fell down to attack the demons that surrounded them. Humph. The patrolling demon was originally a bit nervous, but when he saw that the magic treasures of these human cultivators had dimmed and that there were limited signs of the heaven-earth origin chi around them, he couldn't help but feel his nervousness gradually dissipate. He coldly snorted and said, "These ants actually dare to participate in the banquet." Fairy Jing was puzzled, but when she saw the humans fighting against the demons, she didn't dare to ask too much. She only focused on watching. Just as the mountain patroller had expected, the several dozens of human cultivators were no match for the demons. In the blink of an eye, apart from a few nascent soul cultivators who were wounded by the demons, the rest of the human cultivators were trapped and captured by over 100 demons using their demonic formations. When the pursuing demons spread their wings and whizzed away, the demons who had captured the human cultivators rushed into the swamp. Fairy Jing said, "Mountain Patrol Envoy, what's going on here? I don't understand." Although Bai Qingyu doesn't dare to say that this is the largest demon realm in the 1,000 demons sacred realm, it still covers millions of miles of territory. If I didn't have a heart, I wouldn't have come here. These human cultivators are clearly Taoist disciples. How could they fly here? And from the looks of it, they seem to want to attack Bai Qingyu. The patrolling demon glanced at Fairy Jing impatiently and was about to casually brush her off with a few words. But suddenly, he thought of the five-colored beast skin in Fairy Jing's hands. His heart jumped and he hurriedly said, "Fairy, you haven't returned to Bai Qingyu for a long time, right?" "Yes, indeed." Fairy Jing nodded and said, "After I met the Demon King, I went out to sea to train. Counting now, it's probably been close to 200 years. Meeting the Demon King." Hearing Fairy Jing's words, the patrolling demon secretly stuck out his tongue, glad that he hadn't been negligent. He hurriedly nodded and said, "No wonder. Fairy Jing, you might not know, but recently, Bai Qingyu, have had a major event. It's the banquet I mentioned to you earlier." Chapter 43-49. Seeing that Fairy Jing didn't understand, the mountain patrol envoy continued, "I don't know what the Qing banquet is all about. However, because of the Qing banquet, I obtained the Demon King's token, which allows me to relax my vigilance within Bai Qingyu's territory. Regardless of whether they are here to participate in the Qing banquet or not, they will be allowed to enter the depths of the demon territory. However, the Demon King's token also clearly states that the area within 10,000 miles of the Demon King's cave is a forbidden area. Humans aren't allowed to enter. Just now. Maybe it's because the flying artifacts of the humans here are too powerful that they managed to sneak in. It would have been fine if the mountain patrolling envoy didn't explain, but after hearing this, Fairy Jing was even more confused. She asked in surprise, "You're saying these dozens of human cultivators are here for the banquet?" "Yes. They are here to participate in the banquet." The mountain patroller nodded and said with a serious expression. Fairy Jing didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She pointed at the flying artifacts that had just been dragged into the swamp and said, "They waved their artifacts like this and came to the banquet in such an aggressive manner. And this is how you captured them to treat the guests." Speaking of this, Fairy Jing's heart suddenly jolted. Her expression became thoughtful as if she had understood something. Sure enough, the mountain patrolling envoy said proudly, "Fairy Jing, you don't know, but my king said that who said the banquet must invite guests. My banquet invites delicacies." "Sigh, I understand now." Fairy Jing waved her hand. "This idea must have been given to my king by the Demon King of ancient Bell Mountain, right?" The mountain patrolling envoy was shocked. His tentacle extended a thumb, and the respect on his face increased. "Fairy Jing, you're indeed a human, and you're indeed of my king's bloodline. I'm impressed. My king just sent out a message saying that the Demon King of ancient Bell Mountain might come today, and he wants us to be careful." "Forget it." Fairy Jing's face showed a hint of arrogance. She waved her hand and said, "I'll go greet my king now." "Fairy Jing, please." The mountain patrolling envoy respectfully bowed. He watched as a cloud appeared under Fairy Jing's feet and carried her into the depths of the swamp. Envy appeared on his face, and he muttered to himself, "Humans are humans indeed. I can't compare to her brain. I only said one sentence, and she understood so much. No wonder she's favored by my king." Fairy Jing controlled the cloud to slowly fly toward a direction. There weren't too many mountain patrolling beasts along the way. However, every time she flew over a mountain or swamp, a powerful sense of origin cheese tea sense would sweep over her. Fairy Jing turned a deaf ear to all of this. Even when she looked at the scenery she hadn't seen in over 200 years, the dense confusion in her eyes didn't dissipate at all. After flying for less than an hour, there were fewer and fewer demons to the left. The scenery became more and more dangerous. On the mountains and in the swamps, there would often be strange lights that would fly out. They would either sweep across Fairy Jing or block her path. Fairy Jing had no choice but to use her heart shell to protect herself. Whenever the tricolored light of the heart shell came into contact with the rainbow would vanish. Stop! Just as Fairy Jing was lost in thought, a bell-like voice rang out from the swamp. Oh! Fairy Jing was startled and involuntarily stopped in the air. Below Fairy Jing, a reef over 10,000 feet in size suddenly moved. With the sound of water, the reef flew out of the water. Layers of demonic clouds appeared on the surface of the reef. After the green light flashed through the demonic clouds, a water creature several thousand feet in size blocked Fairy Jing's path. Fairy Jing smiled and bowed. General Shishui, I'm Li Jing. I've come to greet you on the orders of my king. Li Jing. That water creature's head was very big, but his eyes were very small. After blinking a few times, he seemed to remember something, and said with a silly smile, "Oh, this old man remembers, you are that little girl who established a country in the hidden immortal continent. You came here 400 years ago. He, it was 200 years ago." Fairy Jing seemed to have a good impression of General Shishui. She smiled and replied, "Old man, you must be sleepy. 400 years is about the same as 200 years. General Shishui smiled and slowly fell back into the water. He said, "Little girl, you know that this old man likes to sleep, but you still haven't taken out the king's demon king token. Aren't you disturbing this old man's sleep?" Yes, it's my fault." Fairy Jing covered her mouth and smiled. She quickly took out the 5-colored beast skin. The beast skin immediately gave off a hazy light that covered Fairy Jing. Seeing the 5-colored beast skin, General Shishui's body fell into the swamp and turned back into a huge reef. Fairy Jing looked up at the huge island 100 miles away. She took a deep breath and flew over. As they approached the island, the scenery on the island entered Fairy Jing's eyes. There were palaces all over the island. These palaces were dazzling with extraordinary auras. Outside each palace, there were water creatures in colorful clothes. They were either carefully walking or holding their breaths while standing respectfully. Powerful auras rushed out of each palace without any concealment. This was indeed the palace of a demon king. Fairy Jing flew to the front of the island, but she wasn't in a hurry to enter. Instead, she raised her hand and pointed at her heart shell. The heart shell was like a bright star that flashed with brilliance. She then pointed at the 5-colored beast skin. The beast skin landed on the heart shell. Whoosh! The 5-colored halo on the beast skin suddenly penetrated the beast skin and turned into the shape of a heart shell that rushed into the air above the island. Pop! Like a bubble bursting in the air, the scenery in front of Fairy Jing suddenly shattered. A 5-colored whirlpool in the shape of a heart shell appeared out of nowhere. Junior Li Jing has come to greet the king. As the ruler of a country, Fairy Jing was very respectful at this moment. She faced the whirlpool in the air and raised her voice. After a long while, a thunderous voice came out from the whirlpool, "Li Jing. Oh, it's you. Why are you only here now?" As the voice passed, 5-colored brilliance flew out of the whirlpool and covered Fairy Jing's body. Whoosh! Fairy Jing's body and heart shell were sucked into the whirlpool at the same time and disappeared in a moment. When Fairy Jing's body reappeared, she was already in an extremely large space. The space looked similar to a cave, but the walls of the cave were not made of ordinary rocks. 5-colored lights were emitted from the walls of the cave. Faintly discernible demonic clouds were gently drifting, and there were many splashes of water that bloomed and faded from time to time. The walls looked very far away, but as far as the eyes could see, the nearly transparent walls were extremely close. Not only were the innumerable talisman markings on the walls clearly visible, even the water ripples outside the walls could be clearly seen. Fairy Jing stood still in the space and looked down at the crystal-clear ground under her feet. At this moment, there were auspicious clouds surging on the ground, as if they were dancing in the wind in the sky. Fairy Jing understood that she had arrived at Bai Qingyu's Demon King cave. However, there was one thing she didn't understand. Where on the island was the Demon King cave? When she first entered, Fairy Jing thought that she was on the island, which meant that she was in one of the many palaces. But now that she thought about it, Bai Qingyu's demons were all of the water race. The palaces on the island were probably an illusion. The Demon King's cave should be under the island. When she came in the second time, she made a new discovery. She felt that the Demon King cave was in a space high up in the sky. But when this thought appeared in her mind, she couldn't help but laugh. What did the location of the Demon King cave have to do with her? What was the point of thinking so much? Li Jing, why are you only here now? Do you think you have the power to fight against this king now that you're in charge of a country? Before Fairy Jing could raise her head, a powerful intent came out of nowhere and pressed down like a mountain. A rather unhappy voice sounded in her ears. Let this king tell you, you're just a human descendant of this king. I, Bai Qingyu, have hundreds of humans like you, if not 1,000. This king can find someone to replace you at any time. If it were any other time, Fairy Jing would have panicked and knelt down to beg for forgiveness. But now, an inexplicable sadness rose from the bottom of her heart. Although Fairy Jing knelt down, she didn't beg for forgiveness like before. Your Majesty, after this concubine bid farewell to you, I didn't stay in the 1,000 Demons' sacred realm for even a moment. Then, I went deep into the West Ocean to train. In the past 200 years, I haven't set foot in the 3 continents. When this concubine returned to the hidden immortal continent, I saw your Majesty's Demon King token. This concubine rushed over without stopping and didn't dare to be negligent. Oh. Is that so? That voice didn't believe Fairy Jing's explanation and said coldly, this king doesn't care where you went. What this king knows is that because you didn't come in time, you almost delayed this king's important matter. Therefore, this king must punish you. Yes, this concubine understands. Fairy Jing's heart was filled with sorrow and resentment. However, that voice changed the topic and said, the ancestor liked the jade eyes you brought back last time. He said that you've done a great service for Bai Qingyu and wanted to reward you greatly. Now that I think about it, you've atoned for your crimes. This king won't reward you. It's fine. Fairy Jing replied indifferently. This concubine works for your Majesty and doesn't ask for any reward. Get up. That voice said, this king has a few questions for you. Yes. Fairy Jing stood up and looked up at the top of the space. At the top of the space, a cluster of dazzling 5-colored light was blooming like a star. Under the light was a huge reef. Precious pearls of various colors were embedded around the reef. Although the pearls were also shining, they were much dimmer than the 5-colored light. Fairy Jing's gaze landed on the light. Illusions of falling flowers and falling leaves or rising and falling tides appeared before her eyes. She turned her eyes and looked away. At that moment, the 5-colored light receded and a shellfish several hundred meters in size appeared on the reef. Your Majesty. Fairy Jing was shocked and hastily asked, may I know what your Majesty wants to ask this concubine?